If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 41, Scientific Shadow Duel. What Kira saw was a shadow duel. But as far as he knew, Rex wasn't the type to play for life and death except for that time in the Oric Halos arc. He was a legit duelist who didn't mess with this kind of thing. It looked like the duel had been going for a while. Both fields were empty, and both duelists looked battered and exhausted, barely holding themselves up and gasping for breath. Rex, LP 700. Fujimoto, LP 300. Shadow duelist Fujimoto caught his breath. As expected of a legendary duelist to fight me to this point, you're good. He changed tone, but I swore to use your soul to honor my dead brother. I won't fall here. I told you, I don't even know this Jenny Cairo guy. Rex roared. Risking his life over someone he never even heard of, this was the most ridiculous moment of his life. His name is Gozaka Jenny Cairo, remember it? Fujimoto yelled. Because you're about to go to hell and atone to him. I told you, I don't know him. Rex was exasperated. This guy must be nuts. Blabbering about revenge and not listening to a word in response. If he died in this pointless duel, Rex would never rest in peace. Kira fell silent. Gozaka Jenny Cairo. That name sounded familiar. Wait, that guy who stopped him in the street for a duel the other night said he was originally after Rex but changed his mind after seeing Rex get stomped in the final match. No way, could it be that coincidence? Just then, a roar sounded from above, followed by swirling dust and buffeting wind. Kira instinctively shielded his face and looked up just in time to see a white helicopter descending at the mouth of the alley. The rotor's wind was wild and powerful like a dragon churning the air. Even before the copter landed, the door slammed open and a figure leaped down, coat billowing like a cape. The newcomer landed in a superhero pose, then stood up, cloak whipping in the cyclone. The scene was so dramatic that even the two duelists paused, both looking shocked. Rex, you. Fujimoto's face went pale. The legendary duelist. Seto Kaiba. Kira. Only Kaiba could make an entrance like a superhero in a card game scene. And to survive a jump from that height, was dueling secretly a superpower workout? Brother. Mokuba quickly came to stand behind Kaiba, pointing at Fujimoto. That guy, the censor says he's the source of the shadow duel. Fujimoto. He wanted to say, it wasn't me. But caught red-handed, he had no way to argue. This foolish duel ends now, Kaiba said coldly. Beating up a loser isn't a real accomplishment. If you want to play, I'll be your opponent. Rex, who are you calling a loser? Kaiba ignored him completely. Fujimoto gulped. Challenging Rex Raptor was one thing, but facing Seto Kaiba was another entirely. Everyone knew Kaiba's main deck was Blue Eyes White Dragon, but he hadn't dueled publicly in years. Still, people knew he had the top research team endlessly developing new Blue Eyes forms who knew how terrifying his deck was now. Ha, ha ha. Fujimoto tried to stall. Fine, I wanted to see the power of Blue Eyes anyway. But a shadow duel can't stop once it's started. Let me finish off Rex Raptor first. No need. Kaiba suddenly raised his dual disc. Everyone noticed it wasn't a standard model, but a high-end prototype not available to the public. That pose and dual disc design gave Kira déjà vu. In the movie The Dark Side of Dimensions, the villain tried to use his artifact to banish Kaiba without dueling, but Kaiba struck the same pose, saying he'd amplified his willpower through his dual disc and neutralized supernatural powers with technology. Kaiba's dual disc now shone with the same dazzling light. Fujimoto frowned. I don't know what you're doing, but I said a shadow duel can't be stopped unless wait, what? The shadow duel barrier, dissolved in the light? No way. Impossible. Fujimoto lost it. He was supposed to have the power of darkness. Wasn't this supposed to be the age of mysticism, not science? How could this happen? Kira was seeing this for the first time but wasn't surprised. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, dueling is supreme, but that doesn't mean science is useless. In 5DS, the final boss came from the science side and proved that technology could materialize dual monsters and create effects similar to shadow duels, even time travel and world destruction. Kaiba had suffered from supernatural powers for years. Even in DM, he never stopped trying to use science against magic. It made sense he'd made breakthroughs after 8 more years. This is Kaiba Corp's latest dual disc, Kaiba explained. It amplifies a duelist's mental energy to the max, made just for people like you. He sneered. And it can do this. Blue light burst from the disc, data flowing out like a tidal wave and filling the area. The ground and alley walls vanished, replaced by a blue glowing duel field, nothing else in sight. A solid vision duel battlefield. The monsters and impacts will have real substance. The spectacle and Kaiba's aura made Fujimoto hesitate. No one would believe it, but he felt like he was facing a scientific shadow duel. P.S. Read at least 50 advanced chapters at patreon.com/absolute code. Chapter 42, Seto Kaiba. Duel. X2. Kaiba, LP 4000. Fujimoto, LP 4000. I'll take the first move. My turn, draw. Kaiba drew a card, then calmly revealed a card from his hand and promptly discarded it to the graveyard. I activate the effect of Thunder Dragon in my hand. By discarding this card to the graveyard, I can add up to 2 Thunder Dragons from my deck to my hand. He discarded the card, and the dual disc automatically searched his deck, ejecting 2 cards with a click. Kaiba took them into his hand. I add 2 Thunder Dragons to my hand. Even just this simple first step made Kira's eyes light up with envy. In the GX era, duelists still had to manually search and shuffle their decks, a tedious process for search-heavy decks. It wasn't until the 5DS era that dual discs fully automated searching and shuffling. As expected of Kaiba, always at the technological forefront. Kira stared at the dual disc, already scheming how he might get one for himself. I set a monster in the front row, and set 3 cards in the back row, Kaiba said coolly. Turn end. So this is the legendary Seto Kaiba's duel? Doesn't look like much to me. Fujimoto tried to calm his nerves, but his words were still tough. A duelist's pride, your head may break, you may bleed, but your mouth must never lose. In dueling, momentum is everything. It sounds superstitious, but many find it true in practice. If you lose your spirit, your cards seem to fail you, and you're already losing before the duel starts. My turn, draw. Fujimoto glanced at his opening hand and immediately felt his confidence soar. The best opening he'd ever had. This hand could win. I activate the spell card Graceful Charity. Draw 3, then discard 2. After replacing his hand, a cruel smile flashed across his lips as he glanced at Kaiba's unimpressive set monster. Looks like the great Kaiba doesn't think much of me. Too bad for you, it's already too late to get serious. I summon from my hand. Level 8, Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror. A massive, jet-black demon burst forth amid blood-red flames, its giant sword sending out a transparent shockwave. Whoa, a level 8 monster right off the bat, Mokuba chuckled from the sidelines. Not bad. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror's effect, though it's level 8, it can be normal summoned without tribute. But if so, its original ATK is halved, and it's destroyed at the end phase. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror, ATK 3000 ATK 1500. So it's just a paper tiger, Mokuba laughed. Not necessarily. Fujimoto grinned, drawing another card. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror's effect, once per turn, I can banish a fiend from my hand or graveyard to destroy a card on the field. So I banish Archfiend Soldier from my graveyard to destroy your leftmost back row card. Kaiba remained calm, arms folded. The set card was flipped face up and shattered with a snap. You destroyed the trap card Statue of the Wicked, Kaiba said, when this card is sent to the graveyard, I special summon a Wicked God token to my field. A golden idol appeared on Kaiba's field, forming a defensive wall. Wicked token, Def 1000. TCH, it just had to be the statue. Fujimoto frowned but pressed on. Now, I activate double summon from my hand, letting me normal summon twice this turn. I tribute Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror to tribute summon. The Dark Overlord, King of Chaos. Level 6, Great Mage Agart Set, summoned. Great Mage Agart Set, ATK 0. Great Mage Agart Set's effect, its ATK becomes twice the original ATK of the tribute monster. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror's original ATK is 3000. So Great Mage Agart Set's ATK is Great Mage Agart Set, ATK 0 ATK 6000. 6000. Fujimoto laughed. That's twice the Blue Eyes White Dragon's ATK. Kaiba smirked. Humph, now it's slightly less boring. What? Fujimoto, proud of his opener, was annoyed by Kaiba's indifference. But I'm not done. Fujimoto said, I activate the quick play spell Deal with the Dark Ruler. I can use this if a level 8 monster went from my field to the graveyard this turn. This turn, I tribute Archfiend Emperor, the first Lord of Horror, so I special summon this. He pulled out a card from his deck. Amid Flames and Shadows of Death. Level 8, Berserk Dragon, summoned. Berserk Dragon, ATK 3500. It's Berserk Dragon. Mokuba gasped. Not because it's so strong, but because this was once the ace of the Big Five who were ousted from Kaiba Corp. Ah, this guy. Kaiba snorted. Brings back memories. Fujimoto continues. I activate Shield Crush from my hand, destroying a defense position monster on your field. A streak of magical energy shot toward Kaiba's set monster. But just as it was about to hit, a cloud of black mist erupted, forming a vortex that swallowed the blast. What? Fujimoto was shocked. Trap card Dark Sacrifice, Kaiba said. When your effect would destroy a card on my field, negate that effect. The black mist devoured the attack, and the magic faded. TCH, blocked again. Fujimoto frowned. And after negating, I can send a dark monster of level 3 or lower from my deck to the graveyard. Kaiba's dual disc auto-searched another card and sent it to the graveyard. Fujimoto gritted his teeth. Then I activate Card of Burial Magic. By banishing 3 spells from my graveyard, I draw 2 cards. Anime effect. 3 green cards popped out of his grave. I banish Double Summon, Deal with the Dark Ruler, and Shield Crush to draw 2. He drew. Battle phase. Berserk Dragon attacks your set monster. Berserk Dragon spewed a filthy vortex, destroying Kaiba's set monster. Humph, you destroyed Nimble Momonga. Kaiba sneered, drawing 2 more cards from his deck. When Nimble Momonga is destroyed by battle, I gain 1000 LP and can special summon any number of other Nimble Momonga from my deck in face-down defense. So I special summon 2 more. Kaiba, LP 4000 LP 5000. 2 new set monsters appeared. Fujimoto. Not only does he get more monsters, he even gains LP. But he had a counter. No matter how many small fry you summon, it's useless. Berserk Dragon's special effect. It can attack all opponent's monsters once each. So, it attacks again, targeting the Wicked Token. With Berserk Dragon's multi-attack, he'd clear the field and finish with Great Mage Guards at 6000 ATK for an OTK. He'd defeat the legendary Seto Kaiba in 1 turn. Boom! Berserk Dragon unleashed a black gale. But as the smoke cleared, the Wicked Token remained, Kaiba as calm as ever, only his coat's tail fluttered in the wind. Counter Trap Negate Attack. The opponent's attack is negated, and the battle phase ends. After a pause, Kaiba sneered. Humph! You tried hard for a rat, but this is as far as you go. TCH. Fujimoto gritted his teeth, powerless. Set 2 cards, end turn. Chapter 43, Ultimate Burst Stream. End phase, Berserk Dragon loses 500 ATK each of my end phases, Fujimoto said. Berserk Dragon, ATK 3500 ATK 3000. Is that all you've got? Kaiba still stood with folded arms, sneering. Hey! Fujimoto was stunned. He wondered if he'd misheard. Is that all? What more could he want? He'd summoned field-clearing Berserk Dragon, Great Mage Guard set with 6000 ATK, and even had back row set for insurance. This was top-tier dueling by today's standards. He was satisfied with his play. If he didn't win, it was only because his opponent was impossibly tough. My turn. Kaiba drew. Now I'll show you the true difference in power. First, Graceful Charity draw 3, discard 2. He sent 2 cards to the grave. Flip summon 2 Nimble Momonga, then tribute Wicked Token and a Nimble Momonga for a tribute summon. Kaiba raised a card, light swirling around him. If darkness is endless, then submit to the Dragon of Light. Level 8, Blue Eyes White Dragon, summoned. A pillar of light shot up, the first thing visible was white wings, and then the sacred white dragon emerged, bringing a hurricane and overwhelming presence. Blue Eyes White Dragon, ATK 3000. So, the Blue Eyes appears, Fujimoto tried to suppress his anxiety. But even the legendary Blue Eyes only matches my weakened Berserk Dragon, and can't stand up to my Great Mage Guard set. You ignorant frog in a well, you know nothing of Blue Eye's power, Kaiba declared. Watch closely and witness the absolute might of the Dragon of Light. From my hand, I activate Burst Stream of Destruction. Fujimoto's eyes widened. You mean the spell sharing Blue Eye's attack name? By declaring my Blue Eye's White Dragon cannot attack this turn, I destroy all monsters on your field. Kaiba clenched his fist. Be crushed beneath the power of Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes unleashed a flood of white energy, annihilating everything. Not so fast. Fujimoto flipped his set card. Trap card Safe Zone. I target my Great Mage guard set while this stays, that monster can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects or battle. A force field wrapped Great Mage guard set, granting near invincibility. 6000 ATK and nearly unbreakable defense. This was his confidence. Nice move. But... Kaiba raised his voice, playing another card. Before your safe zone resolves, I activate Quick Play spell Successor Soul from my hand. I tribute a monster on my field to send one of yours to the graveyard. I tribute my remaining Nimble Momonga, targeting your guard set. He sneered. Since safe zone hasn't been resolved, your guard set can still be targeted. Begone. A vortex swallowed guard set before it could be protected. Damn it. Then I activate another set card. Fujimoto shouted. Trap Destruct Potion. I destroy my own guard set and gain its ATK as LP. Boom. Guard set exploded, its energy surging into Fujimoto, who recovered a huge chunk of LP. Fujimoto, LP 4000 LP 10,000. Now my LP is 10,000. Fujimoto felt his confidence return. He'd lost his big monster, but had 10,000 LP. Can you finish me off now? After Successor Soul, I can only attack with one monster this turn, Kaiba said. But Blue Eyes can't attack after using Burst Stream anyway. So I activate Advanced Draw, tributing a level 8+ monster to draw 2. I tribute Blue Eyes, then draw. He immediately played another card. Trade in, discard a level 8 monster to draw 2 more. Discard another Blue Eyes, draw. Fujimoto started to feel uneasy. He's sending Blue Eyes to the graveyard in droves. What's he planning? Then again, it doesn't matter. He has only one attack this turn, and I have 10,000 LP. No way he can OTK me with one monster. Quick Play spell Ultimate Fusion. Kaiba's final card shimmered with golden light. From my hand, field, or graveyard, I return fusion material monsters to the deck and fusion summon. Hand, field, and graveyard fusion. Fujimoto was stunned. Kira on the sideline thought, wait till you see deck fusion in the future. Blue Eyes evolution is beyond your imagination. Kaiba raised his hand. I return a Blue Eyes from my hand and 2 from my grave to deck, to fusion summon the ultimate dragon that transcends time and space. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, summoned. A rift of light opened in the sky. A huge, radiant dragon with 3 noble heads and star-studded scales descended. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, ATK 4500. That's, Ultimate Dragon. Fujimoto's legs wobbled in terror. No, it's not the same. Kaiba developed this new form. His field was empty, and he had to face this godlike pressure. But you can only attack with one monster this turn. Even Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon only has 4500 ATK, and I have 10,000 LP. Humph, that's why you're a small fry. Your imagination is so limited. Kaiba sneered. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon's effect. If Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is in your extra deck, once per duel, this card can attack 3 times in one turn. Anime effect. Neoni. Fujimoto fell on his butt, nearly peeing himself. 4500 ATK and 3 attacks in one turn? What kind of broken effect is this? Is Kaiba just printing whatever broken effects he wants for his dragons? Total cheat. Absolute cheat. Crush. Shatter. Kaiba laughed triumphantly. Feel the power of the Ultimate Dragon. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, direct attack. Ultimate Burst Stream Triple Strike. All 3 heads roared, unleashing a flood of light. Fujimoto screamed as he took 13,500 damage, the scene utterly brutal. Fujimoto, LP 10,000 LP 0. Chapter 44, accompanying the president on a raid. Kira quietly watched the duel, chin in hand, deep in thought. This was Seto Kaiba's duel, 8 years after DM, now at the pinnacle of the known dueling world. In GX, Kaiba never dueled directly, except for Jaden vs. K-Bomb which was more like a card spirit, and Jaden lost, so it's unclear how serious Kaiba was. Based on this duel, no wonder everyone calls Kaiba today's #1 duelist. Setting aside his unique floor draw technique, his Blue Eyes deck is leagues ahead of the era. Even the GX protagonists are still just moving out of you play one, I play one territory, thinking summoning a 2000 ATK monster on the first turn is amazing. Kaiba's play is on a different dimension. Money and tech matter, a Kaiba with limitless resources will be ahead. If he wasn't, that would be strange. I knew my brother would win. Not surprising, Mokuba said, wiping his nose and approaching Kaiba. After satisfying his dueling urge, Kaiba turned to Kira. Fujiki Kira, right? He narrowed his eyes. I have something to say, but I need to deal with the rat problem first. Kira raised an eyebrow. Something to say to me? Is he challenging me to a duel? Given it's Kaiba, maybe. Maybe he's annoyed about me beating his AI in Kaiba land, or maybe he just wants to duel. Kira figured if it's just a regular duel, why not? Maybe he could even get a rare card as a fee. Kaiba's entourage disembarked from the helicopter, dragging the KO'd Fujimoto up. Fujimoto blinked at the sunlight, dazed. I'm still alive. Killing you is pointless, Kaiba said coldly. You have something I want, more valuable than your life. Kaiba's new dual disc could give solid holograms and adjust output to non-lethal levels. He'd held back. I know you have a hideout. Give me the location, Kaiba demanded. Fujimoto recovered and gritted his teeth. So that's your aim. Want me to betray my organization? The members are my brothers, my family. He caught Kaiba's cold smile and imagined a phantom white dragon looming behind him, terrifying pressure making him gasp. He remembered being blasted by 13,500 damage just now, his whole body still ached. Fujimoto looked away. Actually, we're not that close. Thinking about it, his only real friend was Jenny Cairo, and he was already gone. So, he felt less guilty. He had no choice. Kaiba is a cheat. His teammates would understand. I can tell you the address, he said. No need. Lead the way, Kaiba ordered with a wave. Fujimoto. He had to lead them there himself? Sweat broke out. Kaiba narrowed his eyes. Any objections? No, none. Fujimoto stood up, legs trembling. I'll go too, Mokuba said, then turned to Kira. Sorry, it'll be a bit before I can take you to the company. Want to wait, or I can have a driver take you. No rush, Kira waved. He wouldn't miss the chance to watch this unfold. He also realized Fujimoto's target was probably him, not Rex Raptor. Rex had run off during Kaiba's duel. This organization didn't know who killed their brothers, but it was a loose end. Kaiba raiding their base would remove a threat. So, Kira joined Kaiba's group on the raid. A short trip later. Same hidden alley, same mysterious bar. Fujimoto, pale as a ghost, sat at the bar, dazed. His friend with the parted hair sat beside him. What's wrong? You look like someone died. Fujimoto turned blankly. Not yet, but soon. Didn't you go after Rex Raptor for revenge? How'd it go? Fujimoto shook his head. I ran into Seto Kaiba. The others were shocked. You dueled him? Is he as strong as they say? Fujimoto shook his head. You'll see soon enough. He spoke flatly. He's waiting outside for you. Everyone. The next moment, the door was kicked open. Kaiba strode in, dual disc unfolding. Come on, rats. Duel. Chapter 45, 3 vs. 1 is a huge advantage. Boom. Random minion A, ugh. Seto Kaiba, ha 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 ha. Boom. Random minion B, ugh. Seto Kaiba, ha 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 ha. Boom. 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 Standing outside the door, Kira watched as the bar was instantly littered with the defeated bodies of shadow duelists, and he was left speechless. He'd expected Kaiba to have no trouble crushing these guys, but he didn't think it would be this exaggerated. It reminded him of that scene in the anime when Ches Princeton first arrived at the Northern Duel Academy branch, mowing down the students at a rate of 1 per minute. Whenever the protagonists in the anime steamroll nameless extras, the vibe is always like this. It once made the young Kira believe that shuffling your deck wasn't even necessary in dueling. He'd excitedly taught his friends this discovery, and then confidently brought his unshuffled Exodia set to duel with the other kids. And then, well, after that, no one wanted to play with him anymore. But it wasn't his fault because in the anime, no one ever seemed to shuffle. Especially when the main cast was annihilating randoms, every hand was just absurd. Just like Kaiba's rampage right now. Kaiba stood amidst a field of fallen duelists. Anyone else? At this point, only 3 people across the bar were still standing. Split-hair Yamaguchi Ryusuke, damn it, I knew you were the legendary Seto Kaiba, but I didn't think you'd be this over the top. In the blink of an eye, only us 4 heavenly kings of the Blood Moon are left. Pretty bartender Inu Kazumi, correction, it's 3 heavenly kings. Fujimoto has already defected. Ryusuke. Fujimoto, earnestly, guys, just give up. Stop struggling. The boss asked me to tell you, surrender now and you'll get really good treatment. The big guy among the 4 heavenly kings, Aikawa Takia, suddenly lunges, I'm gonna strangle you, you traitor. Fujimoto quickly hid behind Kaiba to show his loyalty. Ha, so you 3 are what's left of the so-called 4 heavenly kings. Kaiba folded his arms and sneered. I suppose you're a bit stronger than the other small fry. So, who's up first? Or are you all coming at me at once? The 3 immediately perked up. Is there such a good opportunity? 1-on-1, they had no chance, but 3-on-1? Seto Kaiba or not, could he beat all 3 of them at once? Alright, then it's settled. A fair and square 3-on-1. Kira could barely resist commenting since when is 3-on-1 fair and square? He had to admire Kaiba's confidence. In real life Yu-Gi-Oh, there are single duels and team duels, but multi versus 1 is unheard of. The game just isn't designed for that massive card advantage, field advantage, and even turn advantage, it should be impossible. But in the anime, when the main characters crush randoms, it's always 1 vs 3, 1 vs 4, and it's always a sweep. There's a saying he once read in the online Yu-Gi-Oh fandom, in the anime, characters have something called destiny power, an innate ability to influence fate and control the flow of the duel. But this power is relative. In a duel, if one person's destiny power is stronger, it suppresses their opponent. That's why, in the anime, protagonists always start with a perfect hand against randoms, but when it's a battle between experts, their opening hands seem much more average. So in this world, instead of worrying about facing a powerful monster or deck, Kira cares more about the destiny power of his opponent. After all, those legendary monsters worshipped by modern duelists aren't much compared to the broken monsters of today. But destiny power can make even a pile of random cards into a powerhouse. A simple example, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, a good first turn board can interrupt the opponent several times in their turn with destruction or negation effects. It usually takes a long combo to set up such a board. But in this world, if the gap in destiny power is big enough, the stronger duelist can just start with 3 or 5 copies of Solemn Judgment to negate anything, add a big beat stick, and even an ancient deck can be just as oppressive. In other words, real-life Yu-Gi-Oh is more about the deck's strength, but here, the duelist's strength matters too. Alright, let's watch Kaiba duel today. He figured Kaiba couldn't lose, but he was curious to see how he'd win against triple the resources. 3 vs 1, this was the perfect chance to observe destiny power up close. Duel. X4. Ryusuke, LP 4000. Kazumi, LP 4000. Takia, LP 4000. Kaiba, LP 4000. I'll go first. Draw. Kaiba said coolly, in free-for-all mode, no one can attack on the first turn. I set 2 cards and end my turn. The 3 all sucked in a breath. So confidence? 1 vs 3 and he didn't even summon a monster first turn? If you're that confident, you'll pay for your arrogance, Seto Kaiba. My turn, draw. First up was Ryusuke, the split-haired 4 heavenly king. I summon Marauding Captain. Marauding Captain's effect activates on summon, I can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from my hand. He smirked and revealed another card. And what I'm summoning is, another Marauding Captain. Marauding Captain, ATK 1200x2. I see, a lock. Kaiba said flatly. That's right. As long as Marauding Captain is on the field, you can't attack any other warrior monsters. And when there are 2 Marauding Captains, their effects protect each other, so neither can be attacked, Kaiba finished. Attacks are locked out. Exactly. Ryusuke crowed. Then I set a card and end my turn. My turn, said pretty bartender Kazumi. I normal summon Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast from my hand. A tank-like machine with heavy metal treads, cannons on the sides, and a dragon's head poking out. Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast is level 7, but it can be summoned without tribute. Its attack becomes half, though. Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast, ATK 2800-1400. And now I play the equip spell Axe of Fools. Equipped monster gains 1000 ATK, but its effect is negated. So I equip Axe of Fools to Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast ATK up by 1000, effect negated. Her teammates cheered. Ryusuke, Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast's effect halves its attack, but if its effect is negated, it goes back to the original. Takia, plus, Axe of Fools gives 1000 more. Capitalizing on both sides of the effect. Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast, ATK 1400-3800. Of course, that's standard for the 4 Heavenly Kings, Kazumi smiled confidently. My turn ends. My turn. Takia declared. I play polymerization. I fuse Sea Koala and Tree Otter in my hand. From the ancient forest, the beast's power combines, fusion summon. Level 6, Koala Koala. A giant grey-black beast emerged from the storm. Koala Koala, ATK 2800. Set 1 card, end turn. Takia said, full of confidence. The 3 were quite satisfied with this opening. 3 on 1, with such a strong formation, how could this possibly go wrong? Chapter 46, The Chaotic White Dragon. The Blood Moon 3 Heavenly Kings confidently displayed their formations. Kaiba just crossed his arms and sneered, calmly watching their little show. He then curled his lips, is that all? The 3. Such arrogance, plus his legendary reputation, made even the 3 on one side uneasy. If this is all you've got, you're not even a challenge. Let me show you what a real duelist looks like. My turn, draw. Kaiba swept his hand, flipping a set card. Activate trap no entry. Kaiba said. Change all attack position monsters on the field to defense position. Marauding Captain, ATK 1200 def 400 x2. Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast, ATK 3800 def 2000. Koala Koala, ATK 2800 def 200. Kazumi, all our monsters got switched to defense. Takia, Koala Koala only has 200 def trying to pick off a weak spot. Ryusuke, but even if they're in defense, the marauding captain's lock is still on. As long as I have 2 marauding captains, you can't attack my other warriors. But Kaiba ignored them. Activate Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. He drew 2, adding 1 to hand, then revealed the other alongside another card. Continuous spell Vision with Eyes of Blue. The spell shimmered with golden light in his back row. This card's first effect, reveal a Blue Eyes White Dragon in hand to activate. He revealed Blue Eyes White Dragon. Having revealed Blue Eyes White Dragon, I can special summon a monster from my hand. So I summon Dragon Spirit of White. In a storm of white light, the sacred dragon soared, its bone wings spread, scattering shimmering light. Dragon Spirit of White, ATK 2500. Dragon Spirit of White's effect, when summoned, banish a spell or trap on your opponent's field. Kaiba pointed at Ryusuke's set card. That one. Banish it. A white whirlwind swept it away, revealing it to be the counter trap Negate Attack. Negate Attack, when your opponent's monster attacks, negate the attack and end the battle phase. TCH, took out my backup, Ryusuke clicked his tongue. Vision with Eyes of Blue second effect, Kaiba continued coldly. Once per turn, return a monster you control to the hand. Then special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your hand. He pointed to the glowing white dragon. I return Dragon Spirit of White to my hand. Dragon Spirit of White turned into golden light and flew back to his hand. Now, I special summon the just returned Dragon Spirit of White again. It returned instantly Dragon Spirit of White, once more. Dragon Spirit of White, ATK 2500. You can do that? Ryusuke exclaimed. You can special summon a monster you just bounced. Wait, Kazumi noticed a loophole, didn't you say you can only special summon Blue Eyes monsters? But this is Dragon Spirit of White. She wondered if he was just making it up. Kaiba snorted, even though Dragon Spirit of White doesn't say so in the name, it counts as a Blue Eyes monster. The 3. This is rigged. Totally rigged. Kira was speechless too. He recalled, though, that in the real card game, Dragon Spirit of White does count as Blue Eyes by card text. Dragon Spirit of White's effect activates again, banish a spell or trap. This time, yours. He pointed at Takiya's back row. White Whirlwind banished it was Sakuretsu armor. Kira sighed. He noticed that, among common traps, anime characters always loved Sakuretsu armor, but it never actually succeeded. Next, I activate Advanced Draw, tribute a level 8 or higher monster to draw 2. He tribute Dragon Spirit of White, drawing 2 more. Then, from my hand ritual spell Chaos Form. I tribute a level 8 Blue Eyes White Dragon to ritual summon a more chaotic form. The ritual effect surged a portal to a dimensional abyss. The dragon's body was engulfed, crackling with blue lightning, and a chaotic dragon emerged. Return from the abyss ritual summon. Level 8, Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon. Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon, ATK 3000. Another Blue Eyes variant. The pressure from the most powerful dragon made the 3 barely able to stand. Another Blue Eyes, Kazumi gulped. Ryusuke's face was grim, just how many weird blue eyes does this guy have? And now Dragon Shrine. Kaiba declared. Send a dragon from deck to grave. If it's normal, send another. He quickly dumped 2 cards. So, I send 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons from deck to graveyard. The 3 had a bad feeling, 3 Blue Eyes in the graveyard now. From hand Dragon's Mirror. As expected, Kaiba flashed his spell card. Fusion summon a dragon by banishing materials from the graveyard. So. 3 cards flashed out. I banish 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard to fusion summon. The most powerful dragon in history, transcending time and space, now descends. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. 3 dragons vanished in the fusion vortex, thunder crashed, ancient light beamed down, and the ultimate 3-headed dragon appeared, wings spread like a god. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, ATK 4500. Kira watched, thinking Kaiba already had ultimate fusion, but maybe it's limited, or he just wants Dragon's Mirror for flexibility. Blue Eyes is only part of his deck, after all. The 3 opponents were terrified. 2 dragons that strong at once. And our entire back row is gone, Takiya gritted his teeth. At this rate, at least one of us is doomed this turn. It's fine, Ryusuke tried to reassure them. Even Kaiba can't knock out all 3 of us in one turn. Whoever survives, next turn. Did you misunderstand something? Kaiba sneered. The 3. You 3 won't have a next turn. The 3. What? Was he trying to triple kill in one turn? Impossible. Even a one-turn kill in one-on-one is rare in this era. 3 in one turn? That's beyond belief. Battle phase. Kaiba raised his hand. First, Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon attacks Koala. The armored Blue Eyes opened its jaws, blue energy charging, thunder crackling. At this moment Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon's effect activates. Kaiba announced. If ritual summoned with Blue Eyes White Dragon, on attack declaration, all monsters on the opponent's field change battle position. All affected monsters ATK and def become 0. A thunderbolt struck the 3 on the spot. And Nani. Marauding Captain, def 400 ATK 0x2. Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast, def 2000 ATK 0. Koala, def 200 ATK 0. The dragon's overwhelming pressure made all the monsters stand up like zombies, heads bowed, helpless. The 3 realized the trap Kaiba's first trap card, no entry, was to force their monsters into defense, so that Chaos Dragon could flip them to attack and reduce them all to 0, making them sitting ducks. Ryusuke's face twisted in terror, he planned this far ahead. The Chaos Dragon's blast ripped through Koala, destroying it instantly. Ugh! Takiya cried out. Takiya, LP 4000-1000. Now, Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon attacks directly. Crush them in the light of the strongest dragon, you small fries. Ultimate Burst Stream. The dragon's white breath blasted Takiya into the wall, embedding him, as if in some kind of performance art. Takiya, LP 1000. The other 2 were petrified, heart racing, not daring to move, like hiding from the final boss in a horror game. But hiding was useless. Next, it's your turn, Kaiba glared at Kazumi. Kazumi jumped back in panic. Wait. Calm down. Both your monsters have attacked, you can't. New Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, if you have Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in the extra deck, once per duel, can attack 3 times. Anime effect. Kaiba declared. The two turned pale. That's broken 3 attacks? Why not just print Blue Eyes, on summon, you win the game. Kira recalled that in the anime, the true Ultimate Dragon could attack 3 times, but then self-destructed at the end of the battle phase. Not that these 3 would last that long. Ultimate Burst Stream Second Shot. Kaiba yelled. Attack Fusilier Dragon, the dual mode beast. 4500 ATK, Cannon Dragon at 0. Both monster and player were blown away, with Kazumi's shrill scream echoing. Kazumi, LP 4000. Kaiba folded his arms, eyes turning to the last one, Ryusuke. Ryusuke shivered as if the Grim Reaper was staring at him, backing away. Wait. My marauding captain's effects are still active. As long as both are here, you still can't. Enough. Kaiba flipped his last set card. Trap Breakthrough Skill. Negate the effect of one opponent's effect monster. I choose one of your marauding captains. Nanny. Ryusuke went pale as a corpse. Now, only one marauding captain still has its lock. Simple, I'll attack that one first. Kaiba raised his hand. Ultimate Burst Stream Third Shot. Attack marauding captain. White Dragon's mouth opened, and white light engulfed the pathetic 0 attack marauding captain, disintegrating it. Ugh. Ryusuke, LP 4000. Chapter 47, Invitation. The last 3 collapsed, the entire bar wiped out by Kaiba. At the doorway, Fujimoto shivered, thinking it was lucky he switched sides fast enough. Facing the 3 strongest of the Blood Moon 4 Heavenly Kings in a triple kill in one turn, their idea of the dueling world's peak was shattered. Seto Kaiba hadn't dueled in public for years, so rumors swirled about his strength. Some said he was rusty, too focused on business, maybe not that strong anymore. Now Fujimoto realized how laughable that was. Years of dueling evolution hadn't narrowed the gap between the top and everyone else, it had widened it. This man wasn't even playing the same game as them. Kira, though, was calm. Luckily, all the Blue Eyes variants Kaiba used were still familiar to him, nothing so new he didn't recognize it. Overpowered for an ordinary duelist, sure, but not Blue Eyes at its true peak yet. Watching these duels, Kira became more convinced that destiny power let the strong do whatever they wanted, and that having money and a research team to print your cards made you even more unstoppable. Looks like he'd need to find ways to raise his own destiny power, and learn a thing or two about card R&D. With the duel over, Kaiba Corp staff entered to clean up. Kaiba walked over to the fallen trio. You win, Ryusuke admitted weakly. We surrender, Seto Kaiba. The Blood Moon is yours to command. Kaiba hadn't set his dual discs output to lethal, but the beatdown still left them badly hurt. I have no interest in trash organizations, Kaiba said coldly. From the start, the only thing I cared about was the Judicator. The mention of that name made all the shadow duelists shudder as if they'd heard the devil's whisper. Takia knelt, stammering, how do you know that name? Of course, I know. I also know your so-called organization is just a bunch of expendable pawns, Kaiba said coolly. The duelists looked grim. We only know that name and hardly ever mention it, even among ourselves. The bartender said, catching her breath. And if you knew how terrifying that person is, you'd know we couldn't tell you anything, even if we wanted to. Don't be so sure, Kaiba said icily. I have my ways of making you talk. He turned away, leaving the rest to his subordinates, who began cuffing and hauling the dark duelists away. Afterward, Kaiba walked over toward Kira. Fujimoto, who'd switched sides, tried to ingratiate himself. President. That triple kill was amazing. So strong. He was interrupted by a click. He froze, looking down to see a Kaiba Corp staffer cuffing his wrist. Fujimoto looked up, stunned. Hey, must be a mistake? I'm on your side. No one listened. 2 staffers hauled him away. Even as he was dragged out, he shouted, I'm on your side. I helped the president. I want to see the president. His voice faded as the doors closed. Kaiba ignored the noise, walking straight to Kira. Fujiki Kira. Hello, President. Kira shook his hand. I heard what happened on behalf of Kaiba Corp, thank you, Kaiba nodded. Mokuba told me his plan, and I have no objections. The rewards and cards he promised will be given to you. He paused, narrowing his eyes. But I have one additional condition. He flicked a card with 2 fingers, sending it flying straight to Kira. Honestly, Kira admired Kaiba's card-throwing skills. In the anime, he could flick a card like a dart, and it looked dangerous. Was he a kung fu master or something? Kira caught it wasn't a dual monster card, but a strange card with a pentagram. What's this? Entry card, Kaiba replied, folding his arms, a hint of a smile on his lips. In 6 months, right here in Domino City, Kaiba Corp will host Duel City GX. So that's what he wanted. You want me to participate? The Duel City tournament had been held more than once. After the DM storyline, later tournaments drew less attention as Kaiba never competed again. Seeing his thoughts, Kaiba said flatly, this time will be different. I will compete myself, and invite only the very best duelists. So the president was coming out of retirement? Kira was surprised. Rumor had it that after Yugi left, Kaiba lost interest in dueling, never appearing at any tournament, big or small. Maybe, with no more rivals to chase, beating everyone else couldn't prove anything. But now he seemed ready to come back. Or maybe he just couldn't resist his dueling addiction any longer. After all, the Duel Academy was supposedly founded to raise the next generation of Duel Kings. When Kira first heard that, he imagined, after Adam returned to the afterlife and Yugi retired, Kaiba was left looking for a worthy opponent, his dueling addiction growing, so he built the best academy to find new rivals. All right. Kira nodded, accepting the entry card. If the president himself was competing, there'd surely be a hefty prize. Back in the day, Pegasus offered 60% of his company to the Duelist Kingdom champion. Winning once could set you for life. Kaiba walked out, boarding the helicopter, his coat billowing in the wind like a battle flag. If you're a true duelist, then fight your way through every wall and obstacle, and face me in the survival of the fittest Duel City. Don't disappoint me like that good for nothing. Kira. So, even now, the president just can't resist picking on Joey, hey? Chapter 48, returning with a full load. After Kaiba finished his business, he quickly went off to do his own thing, while Kira continued to follow Mokuba to the Kaiba Corp branch office. When he came out, his hands were already carrying a big, heavy box full of cards. Kira thought that even if there were cards he couldn't use himself, taking them back to sell first wasn't a bad option. After carefully sorting through his picks, Kira roughly split the final selected cards into 3 categories. The first type were cards that, judging by the current meta, were still valuable staples. There weren't any rare ones here, though. The priciest were defense cards like Mirror Force, etc. The second type were cards that, at first glance, didn't seem useful, but reminded him of certain combos, niche decks, or situational plays. Some of these cards would be dead draws most of the time, but once you mastered the art of heart of the cards, these could solve board states that generic staples couldn't touch. The third type was pure useless but expensive, just like all those high-priced bricks that his original body owner's deck had when he first arrived. He'd already sold off his predecessor's expensive but worthless cards as soon as he arrived. The cash he got from selling them, plus the prize from the Moonlight Cup and the dojo's subsidy, all became his seed money, and he'd got a good price, too. Now, he stuck to this logic: if he didn't see anything he needed, he just picked out the expensive ones to box up. He could always sell them for cash and buy what he wanted later. So overall, this haul was quite fruitful. Among them, a few cards instantly caught his eye as particularly awesome and representative. Ultimate Offering, Continuous Trap card. Effect: pay 500 life points to normal summon a monster. This effect can be activated during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase. No need to say more. An eternally banned card. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, anything that's been banned forever is a badge of honor. If a card's been locked away in the Forbidden Room for years, it's always got some insane effect. But this card was only officially banned in 2014. Back in the GX era, it was still legal in the real-life game. It's the classic type that seems simple and rough at first glance but gets more and more broken as the meta evolves. Makira the Destructor, Level 4, ATK 1600. Effect: during the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, its owner can activate trap cards from their hand. Another card that spent forever in the Forbidden Room, was only released years later after its effect was nerfed. Its strength speaks for itself, the years it spent banned are its best resume. Lava Golem, Level 8, ATK 3000. Effect, cannot be normal summoned, but can be special summoned to the opponent's field by tributing 2 monsters they control. The turn you use this effect, you can't normal summon. The controller of this card takes 1000 damage each turn. No explanation needed. Ever since Merrick first used it in the old anime as a 6-year-old, it's been the godfather of tribute-based decks. It doesn't have the same Forbidden Room resume as the previous 2, but even now, you still see it pop up in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, used to take down even the god cards. Especially when your opponent spends 3 minutes setting up 2 fully protected boss monsters, then on your turn you just slam down Lava Golem and eat them both. The look on their face can keep a Shadow Realm dweller happy for an entire week. It's a monster that brings pure joy. Sarcasm. With a sense of triumph, Kira carried the box out the door, fully satisfied. But just as he was leaving, Mokuba looked at him strangely. Is it just me, or do you really like Merrick's cards? Mokuba asked. Kira thought about it. He hadn't noticed before, but now that Mokuba mentioned it, it did seem true. How to put it? Merrick was ahead of his time, a true sunshine boy. Not to mention his sister and his servant, Odeon. The whole Tomb Keeper trio were no slouches. All those old school, creepy cards seemed to come from their family. It was just in their blood. This gave Kira a sudden new idea. After Mr. Merrick's family completed their mission of sending the Pharaoh back to the afterlife at the end of DM, they disappeared and never showed up again. But if they've kept dueling all these years, who knows what the Tomb Keeper trio is like after 8 years? If he ever got the chance to meet them, exchange notes on the latest Shadow Duelist techniques, or even swap some banned rage-quitting cards, that would be even better. Of course, this was just a thought for now. The Tomb Keepers had vanished, who knows where they are now. Also, Kira was very interested in the new type of dual disc that Kaiba showed off today, so he asked Mokuba if he had one. Unfortunately, it seemed to be a non-commercial item. It had been classified as a weapons system, so you couldn't just get one. Kira thought that made sense. If everyone could buy a dual disc that summoned real monsters to attack people, then compared to that, traditional guns would suddenly seem lame. But, the latest model dual disc is fine, Mokuba smiled. It's also unreleased, but there's no weapons system, of course. So Kira happily walked away with a new dual disc. Returning with a full load, Kira planned to sort out his haul that night and list the cards he wanted to sell on the Academy trading platform. He'd also review the insights he'd gained in recent days and adjust his deck accordingly. After all these practice duels, Kira had started to realize something. He wasn't sure if it was because he was a reincarnated card game nerd with natural talent, or if it was just the spirit bonus he'd gained. But Kira felt he'd developed a certain destiny power. He couldn't see or touch it, but he'd noticed it in real duels and repeated practice. It wasn't as OP as anime protagonists who always top-decked the perfect card for a one-turn kill, and he didn't dare cram unrelated systems into a single deck as they did, but he was at least able to reliably draw what he needed most of the time. By his own, possibly inaccurate, estimate, he was now about on par with a top-tier player in the Duel Academy arc, a strong ordinary duelist. That might sound average, but for most players, it was enough to let him make some bolder deck-building decisions. Like, for example, breaking a habit he'd developed over many years. Expanding his deck beyond 40 cards. Night fell, along the city's coast. A helicopter slowly descended, like a giant steel eagle gently touching down. Its rotors whirred loudly in the night. A blond man, cigarette in his mouth and sunglasses on his face, casually jumped out of the cabin with his hands in his pockets. He took out his phone, dialed a number, and exhaled 2 smoke rings as he waited for the call to connect. The call was answered quickly. "It's me," the man said lazily. "Just landed." "Good. Our people have already scouted the ruins and gathered some intel. You'll have it before tonight." "Got it." The blond man took another deep drag on his cigarette. "Be careful," said the cold voice on the other end. "I just got a report that Blood Moon has already been taken out." The blond man was surprised. By who? Blood Moon, one of the shadow duelist groups under the organization. "Oh, so cannon fodder. You don't seriously think those losers are in the same league as me, do you?" The blond man snorted. "The report says Sito Kaiba personally handled it," the voice said coldly. The man's smile vanished instantly. Kaiba's in the city. Looks like it. That's why I'm telling you to be careful. Don't get caught. TCH, if I get caught, so be it. I've wanted to see how I stack up against Kaiba these days. The blonde man snorted. I'm not the same as I was back then. Mission first, the voice replied coolly. Don't die. Yeah, I get it. The blonde man cursed a bit, hung up, and stubbed out his cigarette. Seto Kaiba, what a pain. Chapter 49, The Ruins. Early the next morning, Kira set off from the dojo with the other students to visit the ruins. Honestly, Kira was pretty interested in the stone slabs from before cards existed in this world. Especially after learning that the ruins contained more than just cards made from slabs. But that's just how the Yu-Gi-Oh world is. Things that can become cards aren't limited to stone slabs. Gems, swords, and even living people can be turned into cards. Or maybe, turning slabs into cards isn't real card creation at all, just transplanting. After all, the slabs were already made by the ancients thousands of years ago. Pegasus just transferred ancient cards onto modern media. The real card creation was when those ancients made the slabs in the first place. The ruins were on the edge of the city. After getting out of the vehicle, Kira soon arrived at the excavation site and met Kazuya, the good friend of Takuchi. Hey, you're here. Kazuya greeted them warmly, especially giving Kira an extra look. Your duel yesterday was impressive, young Kira. You must have made out well, hey. Not bad, Kira smiled. Thanks for showing us around, uncle. Kazuya waved it off. No problem. Honestly, I'm just bringing you here a few days early. The team decided that if there's no discovery, this ruin will open to duelists level 4 and above in a couple of days. As he led them inside, Kazuya explained. You've probably heard the rumors that sometimes spirits choose their duelists. The group nodded. Kira also remembered. In the original, the best example was Crystal Beasts. Pegasus created the Crystal Beast deck, and one day while watching Jesse Anderson's tournament match, the deck in its box suddenly glowed. So Pegasus gifted the deck to Jesse, and Jesse formed an unbreakable bond with his cards. Sometimes, it's not the duelist who chooses the cards, but the spirits who choose the duelist. Takuchi-sensei also said, one student remembered, a duelist rejected by their cards can't bring out the deck's true power. Kira listened, thinking, what does it mean to not bring out your deck's power? Does it mean if the spirit dislikes you, it'll keep giving you dead draws until you doubt your entire life? Man, that's terrifying. Yeah, some ruins are like that too. Sometimes, a ruin's research makes no progress, but when a certain duelist visits, weird phenomena suddenly occur, as if they're chosen. But I don't know what the criteria are. Kazuya laughed. After all, I'm just an old laborer here, I just hear people talk. Koji Sato asked, so, can you tell us what kind of ruin this is? Sensei said it's awesome but was all mysterious about it. Kazuya smiled mysteriously. You'll know when we go in. Following the dig path, they soon arrived at a vast space. All around were towering stone walls, carved with complex patterns and mysterious symbols, still clear despite centuries. At the center was a massive stone platform, on which stood an ancient yellowish slab. In the middle was a drawing of a sword-wielding warrior. Even with the ancient art style, everyone recognized the figure at a glance, and several students exclaimed. Blackluster soldier. Some mythological records exaggeratedly say he was the strongest warrior at the dawn of creation, splitting chaos with his sword, one side light and one side dark, birthing the world. Of course, that's so over the top, it's just taken as myth. He's also one of Yugi Muto's signature ace monsters. Yep, Blackluster soldier. Since Envoy of the Beginning appeared, he's been a key research project. But when Blackluster soldier Envoy of the Beginning came out, it shocked the dueling world, but also became a research dead end. Years have passed, and no breakthroughs. Some experts even claim Envoy of the Beginning is the full potential of Blackluster soldier. No further evolution is possible. Kind of understandable. BLS Envoy of the Beginning has super simple summoning, 3000 ATK, and can banish a monster or attack twice per turn. He was so strong he got banned in 2005 in real life. In this era, he's top tier. But as someone from the future, Kira knew that wasn't his limit. BLS would get plenty more support cards. Looking at the slab, his mind raced. Even without new cards, just Envoy of the Beginning was strong enough back then. After he'd used card destruction decks, the next 2 world championships were won by Chaos decks featuring Envoy as the mainstay. Back then, Chaos was already super mainstream, crushing the competition. Even after BLS was banned, Chaos Sorcerer took his place, and that year's world champion used Last Will Chaos, still Chaos themed. If he could somehow get a BLS, maybe he could try building a championship deck. Wouldn't excavating these ruins help new research? A student asked. I'm not too sure, Kazuya said, but I heard the experts say it doesn't. The slab we found is just the ritual monster Black Luster Soldier that was made into a card years ago. There's no sign here of any clues for further monster evolution. Ritual monster Black Luster Soldier, the vanilla ritual with 3000 ATK and no effect that Yugi used in the Duelist Kingdom. It's called a legendary monster, but it's long since fallen behind the meta. Here. Kira. He seemed to hear someone speaking by his ear. But when he looked, there was no one. All the students were excitedly discussing Black Luster Soldier and Yugi Muto in the opposite direction. The hall was busy, but there was no one where the voice came from. Hallucination? He looked around, but couldn't explain it. Just as he turned back. Here. The voice again. Kira turned again. Still no one, nor did it seem like anyone could be talking to him. What's going on? Telepathy? Psychic message? He focused his gaze on a different slab in that direction. Unlike the BLS slab everyone surrounded, this was a blank slab. It seemed like, this blank one? Compelled by something, he walked over and slowly raised his arm. As if pulled by an invisible force. At the same time, someone in the research tent cried out, "Boss! What is it?" The group leader, wearing a KC lab coat, hurried over. Energy. The dual energy readings are spiking. The leader glanced at the meter, shocked, spirit reaction. But at this level, how? He couldn't believe it. Previous tests had found no spirit activity here, but now the readings were going nuts. And if this was a spirit manifesting such a huge energy spike, isn't that as strong as Blue Eye's White Dragon? The leader gasped. These days, ruins are found everywhere, but Blue Eye's tier spirits are still rare. The moment his fingertip touched the slab, Kira felt a massive suction force. Caught off guard, he felt his feet leave the ground, his whole body sucked into a vortex, being pulled into another world. Chapter 50, Turns out I'm super strong, no cap. When his consciousness returned, Kira felt warm sunlight, a gentle breeze, and a faint scent of flowers. He slowly opened his eyes, briefly dazzled by the sun, and instinctively raised an arm to shield himself. He realized he was sitting on damp grass. As he tried to get up, a hand helped him to his feet. Hey! He turned and saw startled that his helper was none other than Silent Magician. Her white robe fluttered, and her gaze was full of concern. Maybe she was worried her master had hit his head. But the moment their eyes met, she jolted, quickly let go, and nervously gripped her staff, shuffling away. Well, at least she didn't run straight back into the deck, which Kira took as progress. Wait, something was off. Kira frowned and walked up to Silent Magician. He reached out and pinched her snow-white cheek. It was soft and warm, so realistic, just like a real person. Impossible. Silent Magician. She gripped her staff, unsure what her master was doing. So, its true spirits can be touched here. Kira looked around. Golden sunlight streamed through dense trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Tall trees formed a canopy like green umbrellas. Spirits can manifest physically, but it's usually difficult and can't last long in the real world. And since his spirit was so shy, but she hadn't vanished or returned to the deck, it meant, I'm in the spirit world. Kira guessed. Silent Magician nodded. He was right. He could guess because similar things had happened in the original. For example, Yugi and Pharaoh were summoned to the spirit world by Dark Magician Girl to fight Oric Halos, or in 5DS, Luna went to save the ancient fairy dragon. So that slab in the ruins was a gateway to the spirit world. Kira wondered. But the researchers hadn't noticed. Was it only because he approached it that it reacted? He was sure he'd heard a voice from the slab before entering. Something was calling him. As he pondered, he suddenly heard rustling behind him. Turning, he saw figures emerge from the brush, wielding spear-like weapons. They looked like some kind of dark-skinned goblin tribe. Human! The leader yelled. Kira was surprised he could understand the spirit's language, but then remembered that in Yu-Gi-Oh!, spirits from different dimensions all spoke the same language as humans. He was sure they were warning an intruder, not welcoming a guest. More shouts responded from all sides as a horde of goblins charged, spears raised, ready to make him tonight's dinner. Kira was shocked. These natives had no sense of duelist etiquette, summoning themselves for a group beatdown without even giving him a chance to duel. Silent Magician rushed forward, sweeping her staff and blasting the front row of goblins with a ring of light. Take down the magic guard first. But the goblins weren't scared, just came in fiercer. Silent Magician's staff kept firing magic bullets, but there were too many enemies, and now goblins with javelins and bows emerged from the flanks. The natives even had different troop types. Silent Magician fought to protect Kira, but the pressure mounted. But Kira had an idea. If this was a world where card powers materialized. He quickly drew a dozen cards from the top of his deck, scanned them, and slammed one onto his dual disc. A summoning effect flashed, and a red-armored warrior leaped out, shield in one hand, sword in the other, and began slashing through the goblins. Breaker the magical warrior. Sure enough, just like in GX's alternate world arc, even monsters without spirits could materialize here. And not just monsters. Kira drew a card from his deck and inserted it. A goblin archer shot at him, but the arrow hit an invisible wall a meter away and stopped dead. A hemispherical barrier appeared, mirror force. That's right, Kira realized that in the spirit world, outside of duels, there were no rules. A duelist's cards were weapons, you could fire off spells as much as you like. Magic card Fireball became a real fireball, Mystical Space Typhoon became a real storm, no incantations or cooldowns, and you could theoretically play up to 5 effects at once. Realizing he could fight back, Kira relaxed and cheerfully declared, "Feel the sublime power of Hanoi, then fall into the endless abyss." Well, no one was around to see him cosplay Ryokan Kagami for fun. Oh, except Silent Magician. But she was watching his mirror force sweep the battlefield with awe. The transparent barrier unleashed a massive blue light, raining rays down on the forest. The goblins in front were instantly vaporized. The rest panicked and fled. Duelist. It's a duelist. Run. Run for your lives. Turns out, in this world, the word duelist meant something terrifying. From a spirit's perspective, duelists are walking arsenals that can summon monsters with 3000 or 4000 ATK from their pocket, plus unlimited full-board nukes. Only another duelist can stop a duelist. The only way to settle it is the so-called ritual of sacred battle. Also known as a duel. Having wiped out the threat, Kira relaxed. So even here in the spirit world, I'm pretty strong. Today he was out looking for cards. Tomorrow time to duel. Chapter 51, Grand Tiki Elder. After discovering the right way to interact with the spirit world, Kira wasn't as tense anymore. He thought back, he had entered through the stone tablet in the ruins, but after arriving, he hadn't seen any similar tablet or even anything resembling a door nearby. So, how was he supposed to go back? He pondered for a moment, then looked at his spirit. "Silent, what do you think?" Silent Magician shook her head, seemingly at a loss as well. After all, the spirit world was vast, and although it was collectively called the spirit world, it contained many different dimensions. This place didn't seem to be one she was familiar with. Still, she tilted her head in thought, then pointed down the small hill. Kira looked in the direction she indicated and saw, to his surprise, what appeared to be a town. "I see, ask the local spirits for directions." Indeed, there weren't any better ideas for now. In the anime, the ordinary citizens of the spirit world were usually quite friendly, maybe the locals knew a way out. Kira made his way down the hill and arrived at the town. The streets were paved with blue stone, and time-worn marks could be seen on the stones along the road. The buildings were white brick structures, their windows inlaid with colored glass, their walls carved with intricate totems and patterns, and some symbols he couldn't recognize. Strangely, there wasn't a single person in sight. Shops stood empty, doors and windows tightly shut. Hanging signboards swayed gently in the wind, which swept up fallen leaves, rustling softly. "Is this normal in the spirit world?" Kira asked. Silent Magician shook her head, gripping her staff with a wary expression. This wasn't normal. She kept close to Kira as they moved forward. After a few minutes, they heard noises behind a row of buildings. Kira, keeping his composure, followed the sound down an alley, staying in the shadows to observe. He saw several small spirits running away in a panic. He only recognized one, a tiny being with a giant key on its shoulder, instantly familiar as Key Mace, a level 1 normal monster with 400 ATK from the Duel Monsters cards. Chasing after the spirits were black goblin-like creatures, similar to those he'd seen earlier. The goblins shrieked as they chased, repeatedly drawing their bows and firing arrows. The arrows seemed to be magically charged. Any spirit hit by them would shriek, collapse, and instantly transform into a heavy stone tablet, slamming to the ground with a thud. Kira was shocked. If you get hit by that arrow, you turn straight into a card? He wondered if it only worked on spirits. Thinking back to his earlier woodland encounter, he felt a chill. That was close. Good thing he had quick reflexes with his mirror force. From this, it seemed the local spirits of this town had been attacked by outsiders, and turned into stone tablets, leaving the place deserted. Silent Magician suddenly became alert, flashing behind Kira to guard him. He turned to see a group of black goblins had appeared at the alley entrance behind them. "Boss, it's him!" One goblin shrieked. "It's a duelist! A duelist has invaded our territory!" The goblin squad split to either side, leaving a path open. Out strode a sinister, masked monster spirit. Kira thought he'd seen this monster before. Grand Tiki Elder. A 4-star, 1500 ATK normal monster used by the Light and Dark Mask brothers under Merrick and DM. But in the spirit world, the monster's ATK wasn't the main issue. What caught Kira's eye was that this spirit was different from the others. He wore a device on his arm similar to a dual disc. "A foreign duelist, eh?" scoffed the Grand Tiki Elder. "But since you dared to trespass in the domain of my god, you must be prepared to become a sacrifice." He waved off his minions and unfurled his dual disc. Although it resembled a dual disc, this version seemed more biological, as if it had grown from his arm, constructed of flesh and blood. The only way to resolve matters between duelists is through ritual combat. "The rest of you, back off. This one's mine." "Ha, figures it comes down to a duel again," Kira muttered. He knew that duels in the spirit world were like shadow duels, battles with life and death stakes. There was no way out, but as far as he could see, only this spirit could duel. Take him down, and the rest were just small fry. Duel. ×2. Kira, LP 4000. Grand Tiki Elder, LP 4000. "I'll take the first turn." Draw. The Grand Tiki Elder won the toss. "I'll set a monster and one card face down." Turn end. A standard opening. His goblin minions banged drums and cheered. "Our Grand Tiki Elder is invincible." "You're finished." Kira ignored the trash talk. "My turn, draw." He discarded a card from his hand and revealed another. Hand effect of the Tricky. Though it's a level 5 monster, I can special summon it by discarding a card. So I discard a card to special summon the Tricky. The Tricky, ATK 2000. And the card I just discarded is the quick play spell Silent Burning. As soon as it hit the graveyard, a golden light returned it from the grave. By banishing this card from the grave, I can add a Silent Magician monster from my deck to my hand. So I banish Silent Burning and add Silent Magician from my deck. Kira searched his deck, then played his next card. Normal summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. Breaker the Magical Warrior, ATK 1600. Breaker gets a spell counter on summon, raising his ATK by 300. But I'll use his other effect, remove the spell counter to destroy your back row card. Breaker swung his sword, magical energy flying toward the Grand Tiki Elder's back row. But the Grand Tiki Elder reacted. "I activate my set card quick play spell Scapegoat. I special summon 4 sheep tokens to my field." 4 lazy sheep of different colors appeared. Sheep token, def 0 × 4. During the turn I activate Scapegoat, I can't summon other monsters, and the sheep can't be tribute for a tribute summon. He paused, smirking. "But it's not my turn, I couldn't summon anyway." Kira thought, true, back in this era you couldn't summon on your opponent's turn. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you'd spend 3 to 5 minutes on your opponent's turn. Then I tribute Breaker the Magical Warrior, who's used up his counter. Breaker turned into golden light, descending into a magic circle on the ground. A pure white light burst forth, and from its center, a graceful figure emerged, a white robe fluttering in the breeze, silver hair shining in the cold light. Silent Magician summoned. Silent Magician, ATK 1000. Silent Magician can't be normal summoned but can be special summoned by tributing any spellcaster on your field. Also, her ATK increases by 500 for each card in my hand. Right now, I have 3 cards in hand, so her ATK increases by 1500. Silent Magician, ATK 1000-2500. The goblins in the background stirred. He summoned 2 monsters with over 2000 ATK in the first turn. The Gan Tiki Elder remained calm, quiet. The minions fell silent. Battle phase, Kira ordered. Silent Magician and the Tricky, attack 2 of the sheep tokens. The sleepy sheep were no match for the 2 spellcasters and exploded into fragments. I set a card to my back row. Turn end. Chapter 52, Masked Beast de Guardias. I see, you've got some skill, the Grand Tiki Elder sneered, glancing at Kira's 2 spellcasters standing like guardians. But after receiving the power of my god's evolution, I am now invincible. My turn, draw. He immediately revealed his new card. First, quick play spell Mystical Space Typhoon, destroy your set card. A black whirlwind swept toward Kira's set card. Silent Magician's effect, Kira interrupted. Once per turn, negate a spell card's activation. The storm stopped, vanishing in a flash of white magic. TCH, you have that effect? Then I activate Pot of Greed, drawing 2 cards. He drew, then played his next card. Spell card Tribute Doll. I tribute 1 monster to special summon a monster from my hand that can be normal summoned. I send my set monster to the graveyard, and special summon this card. The face down monster flipped, revealing a sinister red hellhound, which dissolved into shadows to form a summoning circle. Level 7 CE Yaru, summon. A storm of holy fire erupted, and a dragon with spread wings soared onto the field. CE Yaru, ATK 2500. The goblins cheered. Our Grand Tiki Elder is amazing. In an instant, he summoned such a powerful monster. That guy doesn't stand a chance. The Grand Tiki Elder smirked, you were cautious last turn, not attacking my set monster. Were you afraid of a flip effect? But it's useless. My set monster was Doomdog Octhros. When it's sent to the grave from the field, I can search my deck for a level 8 fiend-type monster. You didn't attack it, but by tributing it with Tribute Doll, I can still trigger the effect. He searched his deck, then grinned. The fiend I'm searching for is my ultimate, most evil form after receiving my god's blessing. Masked Beast de Guardias. Kira. So this was your evolved form? This monster had also appeared in Duel Monsters, used by the Mask Brothers and Marika level 8, 3300 ATK Fiend, summoned by tributing 2 monsters, including Grand Tiki Elder or Melchid the 4-face beast. I haven't normal summoned yet, the Grand Tiki Elder sneered. So now, I'll normal summon myself. Grand Tiki Elder, ATK 1500. A phantom of the Grand Tiki Elder appeared on the field. It looked odd, but Kira stayed calm. This was a traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! Moment and stranger things were sure to come. Sheep tokens can't be tribute for a tribute summon, but can be tribute for other effects. The Grand Tiki Elder clasped his hands, chanted, and shouted. So, I tribute 1 sheep token and myself. The Grand Tiki Elder's phantom and a sheep token vanished, swallowed by darkness. A 3-masked fiend burst forth from the chaos. Masked Beast de Guardias, ATK 3300. The goblins erupted, it's the Grand Elder's strongest form after evolution. One even taunted Kira, you're already dead. It's too late to surrender now. Not done yet. Spell card of Burial Magic, banish Pot of Greed, Tribute Doll, and Mystical Space Typhoon from the grave to draw 2 more cards. After summoning the Masked Beast de Guardias, the Grand Tiki Elder's voice grew twisted. Now, equip spell Reptilian A Rage, make a monster reptile type and increase its ATK by 800. I equip it to CE Yaru. CE Yaru, ATK 2500-3300. Kira frowned. CE Yaru was special summoned by Tribute Doll and shouldn't be able to attack this turn. Ha, you must be wondering why I strengthened CE Yaru. The answer is... He played another card. Spell card Cross Attack. Golden Light bathed CE Yaru and the Masked Beast de Guardias. Cross Attack lets you choose 2 monsters with equal ATK. This turn, the selected monster can attack directly, and the other cannot attack. The minions realized. By boosting CE Yaru's ATK to match Masked Beast de Guardias, now he can attack directly. And since Seiryu couldn't attack anyway, he's maximizing his cards. A 3300 direct attack, this guy's LP will be wiped out. That's our Grand Tiki Elder so strong. Kira. A true anime combo. Although he was getting the hang of drawing clutch cards and building bold combos, these acrobatics were still a bit much. My Seiryu now has equal ATK to Masked Beast Degardius. So, I choose to forego Seiryu's attack so Masked Beast can attack directly. The Grand Tiki Elder laughed maniacally. Masked Beast Degardius, attack directly. Taste true destruction. The beast lunged, claws crashing down on Kira. But in that instant a miracle. Silent Magician leaped in front of Kira, arms outstretched, blocking the claws with her slender form, and vanished in a flash of gold. Nanny! The Grand Tiki Elder gasped. What's going on? Why did the monster block for you? That's the bond between a duelist and their monster, Kira said righteously. Bonds can create miracles people like you wouldn't understand. Grand Tiki Elder. What the heck? He vaguely remembered rumors of a duelist from another world who could bend the rules with sheer charisma. Had he encountered the legendary? But then he noticed a trap card had flipped in his opponent's back row. Trap card Call of the Earthbound. When your opponent declares an attack, you can choose a new target. So you noticed, Kira smirked. Right, my trap let me redirect the Masked Beast's attack. So your attack hit Silent Magician instead of me. And I lose 1300 LP. Kira, LP 2700. The Grand Tiki Elder breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing he'd spotted the trap. This guy almost fooled him, he might have met the legendary king of rule bending. Still just using your monster as a shield, he sneered. Kira didn't respond. Where Silent Magician had vanished, a white magic circle appeared, magic swirling upward in a storm. Nanny! The Grand Tiki Elder gasped. Wasn't she defeated? No, you merely released her true power. When Silent Magician is destroyed by battle or by an opponent's effect, I can special summon another Silent Magician monster from my hand or deck, ignoring summoning conditions. From the convergence of chaos and order, the light of silence shines. Silent Magician LV8. A transparent magical storm rose, white robe fluttering. The new Silent Magician's aura was even stronger than before. Silent Magician LV8, Summon. Chapter 53, Silent Magician's Double Strike. ATK 3500. The Grand Tiki Elder was shocked. When the master first revealed Silent Magician, he'd hinted at the LV series LV4 and LV8, naturally. But Kira hadn't used them until now. TCH, so this spirit's power, it surpasses even my ultimate Masked Beast Degardius. Is this your ace? The Grand Tiki Elder muttered. But there was still hope. He looked at the last card in his hand. Trap card Covering Fire. Effect: when your opponent attacks one of your monsters, the attacked monster gains ATK equal to another face-up monster's ATK on your field. The Grand Tiki Elder set his last card, face down. Set one card, end turn. Next turn, his opponent would surely attack with Silent Magician LV8. At that moment, he'd activate Covering Fire, stack Seiryu's ATK onto Masked Beast Degardius, boosting it to 6600 ATK. Silent Magician's attack would backfire, and his opponent down to a flickering 2700 LP would lose instantly. That was his comeback move. He was already smirking inside, though his mask hid his expression. My turn, draw. Kira drew, calmly played a card and removed the tricky from his duel disc. I tribute the tricky. The Grand Tiki Elder frowned beneath his mask. A single tribute could only summon a level 5-6 monster, but all the monsters on the field were heavy hitters with 3000 plus ATK. No weaker monster could turn the tide. Nanny? When he saw the new monster appear, mechanical body, crackling with electricity, red mechanical eyes, the Grand Tiki Elder's eyes widened. Jinzo? Jinzo, ATK 2400. It's the trap locker. Ugh. The Grand Tiki Elder's face twisted, glaring at his back row. The ultimate trap buster even in the spirit world, Jinzo was infamous for shutting down traps. His appearance instantly turned the tide, rendering the Grand Tiki Elder's trap useless. How could you have predicted my strategy? The Grand Tiki Elder shouted. Who knows? Kira shrugged. In his previous life, he'd have just laughed it off as luck he just happened to draw this card. But this was Yu-Gi-Oh's world. Of course, it's not like he intentionally aimed for Jinzo. Calling your card as you draw is the king's trick. Ordinary duelists can't do that. Still, before drawing, he did glance at his opponent's back row and briefly thought, can I draw a removal card? And though he didn't get a removal spell, he drew Jinzo. It wasn't quite the level of infinite combos, but with the spirit's power, he could subtly influence the course of the duel. But it's all mysterious, never guaranteed, and dependent on the opponent's destiny power as well. Next, I activate the spell card Riryoka from my hand. Kira continued. Target 2 face-up monsters on the field. Until the end phase, have one's ATK and increase the other's ATK by the same amount. I target your Masked Beast Degardius and my Silent Magician LV8. Masked Beast Degardius, ATK 3300 1650. Silent Magician LV8, ATK 3500 5150. ATK 5150. All the goblin minions' legs went weak. This wasn't a hologram, the spirit's battle was real. Each point of ATK transferred was tangible, the aura from Silent Magician LV8 was enough to make the goblins faint with fear. Not done yet. Next spell card, Diffusion Wave Motion. Kira swept his hand. As long as the opponent controls monsters, pay 1000 LP to select a level 7 or higher spellcaster you control. This turn, only that monster can attack, but it must attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. A spellcaster favorite items go to finisher in Battle City, famously wiping out Kaiba's Blue Eyes family. Kira, LP 2700 1700. The Grand Tiki Elder. Over 5000 ATK, with AoE. Even the goblins wanted to run. Battle. Kira announced the attack phase, first targeting the Grand Tiki Elder's ultimate form. Silent Magician LV8, attack Masked Beast Degardius. Silent Magician Sword, white light swirling and blasting through the fiend's chest, shattering it into golden fragments. Gah! It seemed the Grand Tiki Elder felt the pain as his avatar was destroyed, his body spun by the magical storm, mask cracking. Grand Tiki Elder, LP 4500. But even in pain, he began to laugh. You fell for it. This is my real trump card. When Masked Beast Degardius is destroyed, its hidden effect activates. I equip Mask of Remnants from my deck to one of your monsters. A golden light shot from his deck. A grotesque mask flew at Silent Magician. Mask of Remnants only works when equipped by Masked Beast Degardius's effect. As its last will, I gain control of your Silent Magician LV8. So hand her over. Muda. Useless. Kira cut him off. The mask never reached Silent Magician, shattering against a white magic barrier. Nanny! The Grand Tiki Elder shrieked. Diffusion Wave Motion also prevents the effects of monsters destroyed by the chosen spellcaster from activating. But aside from that, Silent Magician LV8 is immune to opposing spell effects. No way! The Grand Tiki Elder's face twisted. Was this human's dueling truly superior in every way? He stared at the dignified spirit, feeling terror swallow his consciousness. Mask of Remnants is ineffective. The battle continues. Silent Magician LV8, second attack CE Yaru. Silent Spell Burst. The white-robed magician's sword, staff blazing, blasting CE Yaru and the Grand Tiki Elder into oblivion, and the latter's screams were cut short. Grand Tiki Elder, LP 500. Chapter 54, The Spirit World's Request. Grand Tiki Elder, LP 0. When the life points hit 0 and the magical storm faded, Kira never saw the spirit of that Grand Tiki Elder again. It looked like the Silent Magician's final blow had obliterated him outright. There wasn't even dust left. Dusting off his hands, Kira turned calmly to the remaining goblin grunts. The Silent Magician didn't vanish with the duel's end, she stood guard at his side, staff in hand, her cold gaze sweeping over the circle of goblins. The goblins who had been watching nearby were now frozen like statues. The final moment of the duel was still vivid in their minds, an attack with over 5,000 points of power, that terrifying momentum, and the boss's desperate scream as he was pulverized to nothing. It was a trauma that would not soon fade. This duelist is terrifying. The goblin squad stood rooted to the spot, not daring to move as Kira put away his duel disc and walked toward them. It felt as if death itself was approaching with every step. Finally, one goblin in the back gritted his teeth. I just remembered my wife's about to give birth. I'll go ahead and leave first, brothers. He turned and bolted. With someone taking the lead, the whole squad scattered. Another goblin slapped his forehead. Oh right, my wife's about to give birth too. I'll go first. Me too. My wife as well. Ah, I just remembered my dad died last year and still hasn't been buried, I need to hurry. Boom. A blast of magical energy exploded in front of the fastest running goblins, gouging a huge crater in the ground and sending the little monsters flying. The one in front couldn't stop in time and crashed headlong into the magical blast, pulverized on the spot, no need to even clean up the corpse. The remaining goblins were petrified with fear, frozen in place, not daring to move. Relax, I'm not some kind of demon, Kira said with a smile as he walked to where the Grand Tiki Elder had been reduced to ashes. He stooped to pick up the dueling deck that had fallen among what was possibly the spirit's ashes, pocketing it with practiced ease. The goblins kept their heads down, not daring to meet his eyes. In their hearts, they thought, you're being modest. If you're not a demon, then a demon should have your face tattooed on it. I didn't come here on purpose, and I don't intend to meddle in your battles. I'm just passing through. If you just tell me how to leave this place. Before he could finish, he felt a tug at the back of his shirt. Turning around, he saw the silent magician motioning to the street behind them. He realized that figures were beginning to appear on the otherwise empty town streets. Or to be precise, spirits. Some small spirits peeked timidly from the shadows of buildings and through door and window cracks, drawn by the commotion of the duel. A blonde, blue-skinned female spirit bravely stepped out and approached. While most of these spirits were unfamiliar to him, this one he recognized, Mystical Elf Level 4, 800 ATK, 2000 Def. It had appeared as a normal monster Yugi once summoned in the anime, so he remembered. Great hero, you've finally arrived, she said. Kira. Hero? That sounds straight out of a typical Isekai story, the hero defeating the demon lord to save the princess. Since the disaster began, a legend has circulated here. One day, a hero from another world would come, defeat the evil god, and bring hope. Wow, there's even an evil god? Sounds harder than a demon lord. More spirits emerged, most of them appearing to be level 1 or 2 normal monsters. Come with me, said the mystical elf. I'll tell you how to leave here. The spirits quickly tied up the remaining goblins, who now kept their heads down under his intimidating gaze, not daring to make a sound. Some time ago, our world was invaded. The evil god's minions rampage from town to town, capturing spirits, sealing them into stone slabs, draining their life and power to feed the evil god's resurrection. Does this evil god have a name? Kira guessed it might be a card he knew from his previous life. The mystical elf shook her head, no one's ever seen it. We are a peaceful race, powerless before its minions. We've been in hiding for years. But lately, they no longer seem satisfied with capturing spirits gradually. Suddenly, they decided to take everyone at once. She led him to the outskirts of town, raising her slender blue arm toward the sky. Kira followed her gaze and saw the sky torn open, a gaping, terrifying rift. A swirling black vortex, like a greedy, blood-red maw. That leads to the evil god's lair, the mystical elf said gravely. Each day, the rift widens, devouring more of our world. If it opens wide enough, our world may cease to exist. I'm sorry for your plight, Kira said, but I don't think I can help. The mystical elf smiled gently. All these years, we've been hiding from the evil god's minions and waiting for the prophesied hero. Spirit magicians foresaw that a hero would arrive from another world, use the power of cards to shatter the evil god's minions, and awaken the sleeping warrior. Sleeping warrior. Yes, a legendary warrior with unparalleled power, who once stood against the evil god. He was strong enough to repel the evil forces. But the evil god struck back with overwhelming power, defeating the world's only protector in a single blow. The warrior's power was sealed, and legend says only the hero's strength can awaken him and create a miracle. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, spirits and duelists are symbiotic. Powerful spirits grant duelists strong destinies, and spirits only reach their full potential with powerful duelists. Even the Egyptian god cards are only at their strongest with the undefeated pharaoh. And the warrior is right here. The mystical elf led Kira to a massive boulder. Carved into the side was the image of a warrior, like those on ancient Egyptian stone tablets, armored, kneeling with a sword, eyes full of defiance. As expected, it was the Black Luster soldier. So that's why these ruins connect to the spirit realm. If you want to leave and return home, this is the only way. The legendary warrior possesses the power to open space. It called you here, and only that power can send you back, the mystical elf explained softly. But you want me to help defeat the evil god? What if I just leave? The evil god's true form isn't here. These are only its minions. No matter how many you defeat, there will be more. It's pointless. She shook her head. The evil god's true body is in the hero's world. On one hand, it attacks the spirit world, enslaving spirits to use as weapons, on the other, it schemes against your world. Both worlds are threatened. Kira frowned. In my world? Could the evil god be a duelist with dark powers? He didn't know who this evil god was, but suspected causing trouble in his world wouldn't be so easy. After all, there were plenty of heavyweights at the top. He exchanged a glance with the silent magician, who nodded. Perhaps because of the bond between duelists and spirits, sometimes he could understand her without words. She was telling him that the seal here had similar magic to the stone tablet in the ruins, and he could use it to return. As he stepped forward to touch the stone, a sudden dull boom erupted at his side. It sounded like artillery firing. Before he could react, the silent magician leaped forward and swept her staff, blasting a cannonball aside. It exploded elsewhere, leaving a smoking crater on the plain. Looking up, Kira saw a man standing on the hillside. Hands in pockets, blonde hair, sunglasses, and an American flag bandana. "Sorry," the man said with a roguish smile, "but I'm afraid I can't let you leave so easily." Chapter 55, Bandit Keith. Kira narrowed his eyes at the newcomer. "Bandit Keith," he said uncertainly. "Oh? Someone still remembers me." The man took off his sunglasses, grinning unsettlingly. It was him. Bandit Keith, an early mini-boss from the Duelist Kingdom arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. Once known as the K-Man and an unbeatable champion, he had a promising future as a duelist. Until one day, he challenged Pegasus, the creator of Duel Monsters. Pegasus didn't even duel personally, sending a kid with nothing but a slip of paper of strategies. Keith lost, his pride shattered, setting him down a dark path. But that was early in the original series. Keith should have long disappeared. He looked similar to before but with some changes. Kira only confirmed his identity after Keith admitted it. But that didn't explain why Bandit Keith appeared in the spirit world. "I can sense the power within you, the power of evil, of devouring," the mystical elf said warily. "You're one of the evil god's minions." "Tch. Power is just power, who cares if it's evil?" Keith lit a cigarette, exhaling smoke before speaking to Kira. "Thanks to Yugi Muto and Joey Wheeler, I fell into despair. But with the power of the god, I've been reborn. Bandit Keith is already dead, only the god's chosen swordsman remains." He paused, pointing at the image behind Kira. "My mission now is to claim that power, the legendary warrior's spirit. Sorry, kid, but I can't let you leave alive." "Don't worry, you won't die right away." He grinned, exhaling smoke. "You made it here, so you must be special. Your soul will make fine nourishment." He stomped out his cigarette and snapped open his dual disc. "Let's go. Only one of us is leaving here today." "Thanks for the invitation, but I'll pass," Kira replied, stepping back and activating his dual disc. "Save being Monster Chow for yourself." Duel X2. Fujiki Kira, LP 4000. Bandit Keith, LP 4000. "I'll go first." "Draw," said Keith. "I activate Pot of Greed from my hand, drawing 2 cards. Then I set one monster face down in defense and 1 card face down. Turn end." "Kira, my turn." "Draw." Keith's opening gave no clue as to his strategy. In the original anime, Keith appeared during the Duelist Kingdom arc, when everything was simple, no tributes needed, and Blue Eyes White Dragon could sweep the field. But nearly 10 years had passed, that format was no longer relevant. And Keith had new allies, who knew what deck he was running. Kira focused on his duel. "I summon Summoner Monk in defense." Summoner Monk, Def 1600. Summoning monsters in face-up defense is an anime-only rule. In real games, you must summon in attack or set face down. But for Summoner Monk, it didn't matter, its effect forces it into defense when summoned. "I activate Summoner Monk's effect, once per turn, discard a spell card to special summon a level 4 monster from the deck." Kira discarded a spell, sending it to the graveyard. "I special summon Witch of the Black Forest." Witch of the Black Forest, ATK 1100. Then I equip Wonder Wand from my hand to Summoner Monk. Wonder Wand can be equipped to a spellcaster type monster. It gains 500 ATK. Summoner Monk, ATK 800 1300. Summoner Monk is forced to defense mode upon summon, Keith noted. What's the point of boosting its attack? Wonder Wand's second effect, send the equipped monster and this card to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Summoner Monk and the wand vanished, transformed into light, which merged into Kira's deck as he drew 2 cards. Next, I activate the spell I discarded for Summoner Monk, Silent Burning. By banishing Silent Burning from the grave, I add a Silent Magician monster from my deck to my hand. So I add Silent Magician. The deck's search function ejected a card, which Kira drew. Silent Magician can't be normal summoned, but can be special summoned by tributing a spellcaster on the field. I tribute Witch of the Black Forest. The black-robed witch dissolved into golden light, forming a white magic circle. Wings of Silent Hope, a magician of light appear. Silent Magician, summon. A white-robed girl emerged from the shining whirlwind, staff spinning in her hands as she opened her eyes. Silent Magician, ATK 1000. When Witch of the Black Forest is sent to the graveyard, I add a monster with 1500 or less def from my deck to my hand. I add Jinso. Keith sneered slightly at the card. That card reminded him of an old foe, Joey Wheeler, who eliminated him from the Duelist Kingdom, sending him deeper into darkness. Joey didn't have that card back then, but it became one of his signature rares later. Even so, just thinking of his rival annoyed Keith. Bad memories? Kira asked, drawing the card as the deck shuffled. None of your business, Keith replied coldly. Sooner or later, I'll drag everyone who beat me into darkness with my new power. But one problem at a time. You're first. Let's continue. As you wish, Kira said calmly. Silent Magician's ATK increases by 500 for each card in my hand. With my newly added Jinso, I have 6 cards. So Silent Magician gains 3000 ATK. His 6 cards seemed to emit a wave of magic, surging into the Silent Magician as she swept her staff, a powerful magical storm swirling around her. Silent Magician, ATK 1000 4000. That's obelisk level power right off the bat, Keith muttered, finally noticing that Kira had managed to draw, search, and summon his ace while still holding 6 cards. Chapter 56, The Seal of Oric Halos. Battle phase, Kira commanded. Silent Magician, attack the face-down monster. The magician spun her staff, summoning a wave of white light that swept across Keith's field. The face-down monster flipped up a grinning, monstrous tomato. Mystic Tomato, Def 1100. The tomato never stood a chance. The wave destroyed it instantly. Hat, you fell for it! Keith shouted. At this moment, my set card activates. A trap card flipped up. Trap card Mikaizur. When a monster is sent to the graveyard, I can destroy 1 monster on the field. Keith grinned wickedly, pointing at Kira's field. Say goodbye to your Silent Magician. Golden light burst from the trap card, and the destroyed tomato's spirit shot toward Silent Magician. In response, I activate the quick play spell My Body as a shield from my hand. Kira waved his hand, and a magic card appeared. When your opponent activates an effect that would destroy a monster, pay 1500 LP to negate and destroy it. The spell redirected the attack, the tomato spirit crashed into Kira instead. He staggered back, gritting his teeth. Kira, LP 2500. So shadow duels hurt for real. Silent Magician looked at her master in alarm, concerned and uncertain. Oh? A duelist shielding his monsters. Keith sneered. Cards are just weapons, tools. True strength is knowing how to use each piece. The strong rule the weak, that's the unchanging truth. A duelist is a commander who can sacrifice everything but himself to win. Kira eyed him. Dude, are you okay? At this rate, if I don't shield Silent Magician, won't you just attack directly next turn? But he realized this was the perfect opportunity to boost his bond with Silent Magician. Putting on a show, he gritted his teeth. You're wrong. A duelist must trust their monsters, trust their deck. Every card is a carefully chosen, irreplaceable partner. If you don't understand that, you're not worthy of being called a duelist, no matter how strong you are. He remembered countless speeches about bonds and trust from the anime Just Improvise. Sure enough, Silent Magician looked at him with gratitude. If he could see a favorability meter, it would probably read favorability plus 99. A stronger bond means better draws, right? Kira was quite satisfied, almost wanted to thank Keith for setting up the moment. So annoying, Keith muttered, face darkening. You're just like those other guys always going on about duelist pride and trust in cards. You guys are the worst. Kira guessed he meant Yugi and Joey. Keith, after losing to Pegasus, fell into darkness and would do anything to win, including cheating and stealing. He was the classic by any means necessary type. Let me bury your naive ideals and your so-called partners for good. Keith shouted. When Mystic Tomato was destroyed, its effect was already activated. When this card is destroyed in battle, I can special summon a dark monster with 1500 or less ATK from my deck. I special summon Snipe Hunter. Snipe Hunter, ATK 1500. I set a card and end my turn. Silent Magician, ATK 3000. My turn. Draw. When Keith drew, he froze for a moment. A brief silence, and then his face twisted with a grin he couldn't hide. Hat. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Kira grew wary. Did he draw something dangerous? It's game over, kid. Keith laughed. I've drawn the card, the ultimate embodiment of divine power. Watch as I awaken my inner darkness. My hatred, my fury, the darkness that will consume the world. A slot on Keith's dual disc popped open. He raised the card high, a green light bursting from it. Field spell. The seal of Oric Halos. Kira. He thought he'd misheard. Wait, what? Wasn't Oric Halos from the DM anime arc? Wasn't that all ancient history by now? Didn't Darts, the villain, die ages ago, and the Oric Halos god was defeated by the Egyptian gods? How was this card still around? But when the card was placed, Kira knew he hadn't misheard. Green lightning crackled from Keith's dual disc, filling him with energy. His clothes whipped in the wind, and he let out a scion-like yell as green flames erupted from his body. A hexagram symbol formed on his forehead, glowing green. Yes, power, I can feel it. Keith roared, green light exploding from him. The dueling field was now ringed by a glowing green hexagram, the light shooting skyward to form an unbreakable barrier. The seal of Oric Halos in the anime, once activated, it couldn't be stopped, negated, or removed. The loser's soul would be fed to the evil god, until someone fell, no one could leave. Of course, in the anime, it was a whoever uses it loses card. Even Pharaoh Adam lost to it once. So the evil god was the Oric Halos god after all? But wasn't your so-called god defeated by the Egyptian gods? Kira asked. Fool! Keith snapped. The Oric Halos god is the darkness in humanity's heart, the dark will of this planet. No matter how many times it's defeated, it will always return. Kira recalled that Darts did say something like that. As long as humans and this planet exist, the Oric Halos god will never die. So the Egyptian gods only sealed it away. Its ambitions were never gone. If the Oric Halos god were to look at the world now, it would be delighted. The pharaoh was gone, the Egyptian gods were gone. Wasn't this the Oric Halos god's era now? Kira felt a headache coming on. This was no trivial matter. Who said the world of the king of games was safe? He'd barely arrived and was already facing the apocalypse. But he didn't think the world would end. Even though the next generation's protagonist, Jaden Yuki, hadn't matured yet, Seto Kaiba was still around. Kaiba had been developing his blue eyes for years, he wouldn't lose to an old boss. And even if Kaiba fell, there was always the ultimate boss, Fujimoto. Even Pharaoh Adam left the world to him, who knows how strong Yugi had grown in 8 years. And even in the worst case scenario, if the Oric Halos god somehow beat Yugi too, Pharaoh Adam would surely rise from the afterlife for one last duel. No way would the apocalypse happen so easily. His priority was to win this duel and stay alive. Even if, in the anime, whoever used the seal of Oric Halos lost, the instant this card was played, Kira could feel Keith's aura shift. He seemed to grow taller, his presence more oppressive. The seal of Oric Halos had boosted Keith's destiny power as a duelist. The seal of Oric Halos in the anime was an overpowered artifact, letting any ordinary person wield the power of a god. Even the Millennium Puzzle couldn't break it. So, worst case, the seal of Oric Halos gave its users a tremendous boost in fate. Akamachi, feels good, having power is just different. Keith grinned, eyes glowing green. Now are you ready to die? Chapter 57, The Revolver's Assault. Now that Oric Halos has been activated, you have no more chances left. Let this duel become a ritual to resurrect the evil god, using you and your beloved spirit as a sacrifice. Bandit Keith waved his hand grandly and slapped a spell card onto his duel disc. First, spell card Fissure. This card can destroy the opponent's monster with the lowest ATK on the field. A green spell card unfolded with a flourish on Keith's field. Suddenly, the ground in front of Kira shook violently, as if in an earthquake, splitting open into a deep chasm. You only have Silent Magician on your field. Keith sneered, such a short-lived beauty of a magician girl. Silent Magician, activate effect, said Kira. Once per turn, negate the activation of a spell card. Negate the destruction of Fissure. A burst of white light exploded from the Silent Magician. The Fissure card was swept up by a transparent magical storm, bursting into powder with a snap. The broken ground on the field returned to normal. TCH, so it had such an ability. Bandit Keith grunted in displeasure. Then I'll activate Snipe Hunter's effect. Keith declared. Discard a card from my hand and roll a die. If the result is not 1 or 6, I can destroy a card on the field. Dice. Kira recalled this guy liked dice games, too. Including his trick of hiding cards up his sleeve, this man was a born gambler. But obviously, he'd never gambled with Joey Wheeler. Snipe Hunter was a powerful, often used lower-level monster in old-school Yu-Gi-Oh! As long as you didn't roll 1 or 6, you could blow up a card a 2/3 chance. If your luck wasn't terrible, your success rate was pretty high. Although that Silent Magician in the front row is an eyesore. Keith narrowed his eyes, his gaze sliding back and forth between the Magician and Kira's set card in the back row. Silent Magician's ATK increases based on cards in the hand. You even reduced her ATK to set that card, so that must be a trap you value. Let me think, it's probably something like Mirror Force that can turn the tables in an instant. Kira. But it's useless. Keith shouted. I'll show you, these shallow traps are nothing to me. Snipe Hunter's effect, Wheel of Fate. Although the effect described rolling dice, the Snipe Hunter's monster design replaced the die with the revolver's cylinder. The black-clad gunman raised his pistol, which had a spinning wheel at the back. The pointer spun rapidly, slowing down and finally stopping at the number 4. The wheel landed on 4. Keith laughed. So, I destroy your set card in the back row. Hand over your trap to me. The sniper loaded his gun and fired. The set card in the back row was pierced and shattered. However, the card's destruction was just a momentary effect. Keith caught a glimpse of the card image. It wasn't Mirror Force, nor any generic trap he recognized. Now your back row is empty. Keith said, then from my hand, I activate the spell card Fiend's Sanctuary to special summon a Metal Fiend token to my field. Metal Fiend token, ATK 0. Next, I activate the continuous spell Precious Cards from Beyond. Now, whenever I tribute 2 or more monsters for a tribute summon, I can draw 2 cards from my deck. Then, I tribute Metal Fiend token and Snipe Hunter to tribute summon. Let the metallic roar bring everlasting nightmares to my enemy. Level 7. Barrel Dragon, summon. The 2 monsters were tribute, and their released energy gathered in a summoning storm. Flying particles formed the heavy, dark steel body, 3 black gun barrels like cannons, sharp fangs, the sound of gears, and metal grating. The steel dragon stomped onto the field. Barrel Dragon, ATK 2600. This was also Keith's ace monster in the anime. According to Precious Cards from Beyond, I draw 2 cards from my deck. Keith drew 2 cards. Seal of Oric Halos effect. All monsters on my field gain 500 ATK, so Barrel Dragon's ATK increases. Barrel Dragon, ATK 26003100. That surpasses your Magician, Keith smirked. Battle. Barrel Dragon, attack Silent Magician. Barrel Dragon's 3 shoulder cannons swiveled, locking onto Kira's Silent Magician. At this moment, Barrel Dragon's effect activates. Keith shouted. Barrel Dragon can toss 3 coins when it attacks. This turn, it can attack several times equal to the number of heads. Anime effect. All 3 gun barrels locked on, followed by the sound of loading and the revolver spinning. In the holographic system, the coin toss was represented by barrel rotation. After loading, 2 of the barrels lit up golden. Ha, looks like I got 2. This turn, Barrel Dragon can attack twice. Keith laughed. You only have 2500 LP left, and your back row is empty. This is the end. This is the absolute power of Oric Halos, tremble before it. Barrel Dragon, attack. Fatal Revolver. The first shot, the left gun barrel spewed deadly flames. At this moment, I activate a trap card from my hand. Kira waved his hand, a trap card appearing in the data stream before him. Magic Cylinder. Nanny. Keith was shocked. A trap from your hand. How is that possible? You don't seem to recognize the trap you just destroyed. Kira's dual disc graveyard ejected the just destroyed set card. That was the trap card, cross counter trap. If this card is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's effect, you can activate a trap card from your hand during that turn. Anime card. This kind of thing. Keith's face darkened. Therefore, by this effect, I activate Magic Cylinder from my hand, negating your attack and inflicting damage equal to your monster's ATK. The dazzling Magic Cylinder appeared on Kira's field. The dragon's blast was swallowed by one end and immediately spat back out the other. Ugh! Taking the Oric Halos boosted blast from his monster, Keith's face twisted abstractly as he was blown over, black smoke rising from his chest. Keith, LP 4000 LP 900. Damn it! Keith gritted his teeth. He realized he had underestimated his opponent. Covering the back row at the cost of reducing Silent Magician's ATK was a clear hint, this trap is important. He thought he saw through the intention, but in fact, the opponent saw through him. He was purposely lured to destroy the back row, but it was a double trap. The real trap was hidden in his hand. What a cunning kid! Keith took a deep breath, sat up, and glared coldly. I underestimated you, Keith said gravely. You're sly, but it changes nothing. And since you used Magic Cylinder from your hand, Silent Magician's ATK drops again. Silent Magician, ATK 30002500. The battle isn't over. My Barrel Dragon still has a second attack. Once again, aim at Silent Magician. Fatal Revolver. The black barrel fired again. This time, nothing stopped it. Silent Magician took the hit and turned into golden light, temporarily leaving the field. Kira, LP 25001900. But at this moment, Silent Magician's effect triggers, Kira said. When destroyed by battle or opponent's effect, special summon another Silent Magician monster from hand or deck, ignoring summoning conditions. From the intersection of chaos and order shines the light of Silent Magician of Light, descend. Silent Magician LV8. The energy unleashed by the destroyed Silent Magician didn't dissipate but reformed into a white magic circle. An even greater surge of magic erupted, and Silent Magician in new attire spun into the field, her face icy cold. Silent Magician LV8, ATK 3500. TCH, she evolved instead? Troublesome kid. Keith muttered, then slapped another card down. Then I activate spell card, Card of Heaven and Earth. Keith said. If I performed a tribute summon this turn, I can draw 2 cards, but I can't use them this turn, and if possible, I must set at least one. Keith drew 2 cards. Since I tribute summoned Barrel Dragon this turn, I draw 2 cards. He set one of them, set 1 card face down, end turn. Chapter 58, The World of Duelists is Too Scary. My turn, draw. Kira slapped down a monster card. Special summon Jester Kofi. Jester Kofi, ATK 0. This card can be special summoned in attack position from hand without conditions, Kira said. Then I tribute Jester Kofi to tribute summon. King of Psychic, level 6. Jinzo, summon. Having searched Jinzo last turn via Witch of the Black Forest, the mechanical psychic stepped onto the field amid crackling electricity. Jinzo, ATK 2400. That troublesome thing already. Keith grumbled. With Jinzo on the field, the invisible psychic force sealed the back row, making the battlefield a trap-free zone. This maximizes the suppression of the opponent's back row. Kira pointed, Silent Magician LV8, attack Barrel Dragon. The magician's swirling vortex rose, and she struck Barrel Dragon with a bolt of white lightning. The black steel dragon exploded and left in agony. Keith, LP 900 LP 500. With his sturdy build, Keith barely withstood the magical blast, staggering back half a step. Coldly, he said, at this moment, the effect of Desperado Barrel Dragon in my hand activates. He revealed a card in his hand, which glowed gold. Desperado Barrel Dragon. When a dark, machine-type monster you control is destroyed by battle or effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. He slapped the card onto his dual disc, currents sparked across the system. In the symphony of metal and fire, the soul of the deadly machine awakens. Level 8, Desperado Barrel Dragon. The giant steel feet seemed to dent the ground, its long tail whipped like a steel whip, and both hands and head were composed of revolver barrels. It roared with metallic thunder. Desperado Barrel Dragon, ATK 2800. Ha ha ha, this is my new Ace Barrel Dragon's strongest form. Keith shouted. And under seal of Oric Halos, Desperado Barrel Dragon's ATK increases by 500. Desperado Barrel Dragon, ATK 28003300. Keith continued, and, Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect activates. The mystical elf watching exclaimed, it can activate its effect even during the opponent's turn. That's right. Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect can activate once per turn, during either player's battle phase, Keith boasted. Flip 3 coins destroy up to that many face-up monsters on the field, depending on heads. Kira frowned slightly. Desperado Barrel Dragon was indeed a powerful early-era monster, with a quick effect destruction that could activate in the opponent's turn, rare back then. Of course, in the holographic duel, the coin toss was represented by the revolver's cylinder spinning. After a spin, one of the 3 gun barrels was loaded. Looks like I got just one hit, but that's enough. Keith shouted, go, Desperado Barrel Dragon destroy Jinzo. The trigger was pulled, and the blast pierced Jinzo, who exploded in flames. Kira raised his arm to shield himself against the blast while thinking. Keith chose to destroy Jinzo, not Silent Magician. His gaze fell on the back row. Naturally, this was to remove Jinzo's trap lockdown. So that's that card. Sure enough, Keith laughed triumphantly and couldn't wait to act. With Jinzo gone, the trap lockdown is over. Activate set card compulsory evacuation device. Return a monster on the field to the hand. Keith sneered. Silent Magician LV8 is an LV monster, only summonable via level up. Once it returns to the hand, it's gone for good. So, get off the field. Quick play spell Forbidden Lance. Kira immediately countered. The magical lance appeared in the Silent Magician's hand, releasing a divine pulse to resist the trap's effect. Forbidden Lance reduces the ATK of a monster by 800 until the end of the turn but makes it unaffected by spells/traps. So, compulsory evacuation device fails. Silent Magician LV8, ATK 35002700. Ugh, annoying guy. Keith muttered. I set another card face down and end my turn, Kira said. At this moment, Silent Magician's ATK returns to normal. Silent Magician LV8, ATK 27003500. My turn, draw. Keith said. Activate spell card trade in, discard a level 8 monster to draw 2 cards. I discard level 8 Metal Zoa from my hand and draw 2 cards. After glancing at his new cards, his cold gaze returned to Silent Magician. If you won't leave, then be destroyed. Desperado Barrel Dragon effect activate. During the battle phase, flip 3 coins, destroy up to that many monsters. The revolver spun again. All 3 barrels had a 50% chance, even one hit could destroy Silent Magician. Unless you're Sartorius or Joey Wheeler, there's almost no way to miss it entirely. Flip set card trap card memory loss. Kira revealed his back row. When the opponent's face-up attack monster's effect activates, negate it and force it to defense position. Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect is negated. The spinning cylinder stalled, and the steel dragon sparked and staggered, clutching its head as if it had forgotten how to shoot. Desperado Barrel Dragon, ATK 3300 Def 2200. What a cockroach! Keith grumbled. Fine, I set 2 cards and end my turn. The mystical elf could barely breathe watching. Both sides had monsters on the field far beyond her imagination, and such intense offense and defense, one wrong move and she'd be torn to shreds. So scary. The world of duelists is too scary. Chapter 59, The Power of the Deck. My turn, draw. It was Kira's turn. Activate spell card of Demise. Draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. But 5 turns later, all cards in your hand are discarded. First time using this card in an actual duel. Silent Magician LV8's ATK is higher than Desperado Barrel Dragon, but during the battle phase, the opponent could activate its quick destruction. There's no way to attack through. Then I set 3 cards and end my turn, Kira said. Ha ha ha, so you're just stalling and defending to avoid Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect. Keith sneered. In front of my power, you are helpless. My turn, draw. He placed the card he drew into the duel disc. 3 streaks of golden light shot from the graveyard. Spell card, Card of Burial Magic. Banish 3 spell cards from the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Anime card. 3 golden lights transformed into 3 spell cards then vanished. Banish Trade-in, Fisher, and Fiend's Sanctuary, then draw 2 cards. After drawing, he glanced at his hand and smirked, "Hat, what a draw. I normal summon BM4 Blast Spider. BM4 Blast Spider, ATK 1400. Kira remembered this troublesome card from back in the real-life game. Blast Spider could, once per turn, target a dark machine and any card on the field, and destroy both. Plus, when a dark machine destroys an opponent's monster by battle or effect, it inflicts half the destroyed monster's ATK as damage. It's the perfect partner for Desperado Barrel Dragon. However, flip set card trap hole. Kira raised his hand, and the back row flipped. When a monster with 1000 plus ATK is summoned, destroy it. Destroy BM4 Blast Spider. Though powerful, the spider was sucked into a vortex and exploded. Another annoying trap. Keith muttered. Then I activate spell card monster slot from my hand. Target a monster I control, banish a monster with the same level from my grave, and then draw a card. If it's a monster of the same level, special summon it. Kira squinted. It's just a single draw. What are the odds he'll draw a level 8 monster? But in the anime, whenever a character activates this kind of effect, they never miss. Plus, he glanced at the seal of Oric Halos surrounding him. Keith was a small boss in the anime, and with the whoever uses it dies power of the seal. Watch my draw. Keith raised his hand, the Oric Halos symbol on his forehead glowing fiercely. Invisible energy seemed to flow into his hand. Draw. Sure enough, after drawing, he laughed and revealed the card. I drew level 8 Fiendish Engine Omega. So, special summon. A mighty mech covered in crimson armor, lines sharp and smooth, eyes glowing red, and arms bristling with cold blades. Fiendish Engine Omega, ATK 2800. Kira. The Barrel Dragon series is Keith's signature, and fiends are his in the manga, too, along with Metal Zoa. But so many different themes, such a chaotic deck, yet it all works together. Also, Seal of Oric Halos boosts Fiendish Engine Omega's ATK. Fiendish Engine Omega, ATK 28003300. This time, there's nothing to protect your magician. Keith roared. Switch Desperado Barrel Dragon back to attack mode, and enter the battle phase. Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect: toss 3 coins, destroy monsters up to the number of heads. Kira. Activate set card. Continuous trap safe zone. Target 1 attack position monster I control. The protected monster cannot be targeted or destroyed by effects or battle. A strong transparent force field shielded silent magician. Ha, so what? Keith sneered. Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect: desperate trigger. Mystical elf, even knowing it can't destroy, he still activates. Kira frowned, with safe zone, silent magician can't be destroyed. Not necessarily. Before resolving the coin toss, I activate the continuous trap Proton Blast. Keith's back row flipped. The trap card pictured Barrel Dragon firing a trap made for Barrel Dragon decks. Once per turn, whenever a coin toss effect activates, apply effects based on the number of heads. Keith gestured. Desperado Barrel Dragon's effect: spin the cylinder. The cylinder spun, 2 barrels lighting up. Ha! I got 2 hits this time. Keith said. You only have Silent Magician, and she's protected by Safe Zone, and can't be destroyed. But now, Proton Blast activates. The trap glowed gold, energy loading into Barrel Dragon. First effect: if 1 or more heads, inflict 500 damage. Barrel Dragon fired, blasting through Kira. Kira, LP 19001400. Second effect: if 2 or more heads, destroy a card on the opponent's field. Keith pointed at the back row. Attack the continuous trap safe zone. The second shot destroyed the trap. The protective layer vanished. Safe zone's drawback, Kira said calmly. When safe zone leaves the field, the protected monster is destroyed. So, Silent Magician LV8 is destroyed. Silent Magician faded, turning to look at Kira apologetically. It's fine, he said. You did enough. I'll handle it from here. She nodded and disappeared. The annoying magician is finally gone, now it's over. Keith seemed to see the finish line, his expression twisting with glee. Final attack. Fiendish Engine Omega, direct attack. Chapter 60 Kira's trump card. Final attack. Fiendish Engine Omega, direct attack. The red mecha's engines flared as it raised its blade, slashing toward Kira, whose field was now empty. That's it, it's over. Give up and surrender your soul. Of course, Kira wasn't about to just give up. Activate set card. Trap card Mirror Force. You still had a mirror force hidden at this stage. Bandit Keith was startled. That's right. Mirror Force destroys all your attacking monsters when you declare an attack. A pale blue barrier appeared before Kira, blocking the red mecha's blade. The powerful rebound energy reflected from the shield, turning into a rain of light that swept across Keith's field. TCH, Trap Hole, Magic Cylinder, Mirror Force, you sure have one nasty trap after another, Keith sneered. Didn't you say every card in your deck was carefully chosen, a reflection of your duelist's soul? I'm starting to think your soul's a little dirty. But that's not going to work. Keith shouted, counter trap, the huge revolution is over. When the effect would destroy 2 or more cards on the field, negate that effect and banish it. Kira frowned. He even has this kind of card? Facing opponents with strong plot armor, ordinary tactics become less effective. In the real card game, after the 5DS era, Starlight Road replaced the huge revolution is over since it offers a similar effect and a free Stardust Dragon. He vaguely remembered back in the day, players would set 4 cards, and then if the opponent played Heavy Storm, Starlight Road would immediately summon Stardust Dragon. Trap card Starlight Road, when a card effect would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate and destroy it, then special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. This era doesn't have Starlight Road yet, but the huge revolution is over works similarly. The Mirror Force's unbreakable shield cracked and shattered. Battle continues. Fiendish Engine Omega's direct attack. Keith raised his voice, this time, it's over. Entering the damage calculation step, Kira revealed a card from his hand and quickly sent it to the graveyard. Kaidaroid effect from hand. During the damage calculation of a direct attack, discard Kaidaroid to negate the battle damage once. A translucent kite appeared, shielding Kira. Fiendish Engine Omega's attack landed harmlessly on the kite, unable to pierce it. You have that too. Keith was frustrated. You're tough. Barrel Dragon can't attack the turn it uses its effect, so my turn ends. Looks like you've survived another round. Kira noticed that Keith's Fiendish Engine Omega didn't summon a token at the end of the turn, but then realized the original anime version didn't have that effect, only the real card did after adaptation. The mystical elf, who'd been watching nervously, finally let out a sigh of relief. She thought she'd need heart medication watching this duel. She almost cheered when Kira played Mirror Force, and almost despaired when it was countered. The highs and lows of this duel were exhilarating. Unbeknownst to her, even if Barrel Dragon could attack again, Kira's Graveyard Kaidaroid could still block another attack. That's what you call the value of a classic hand trap. You've done well making it this far, kid. Keith tried a psychological attack after his offense failed. But you've used up all your tricks, and I've already beaten your ace. Even if you miraculously summon another high-level monster next turn, as soon as the battle phase begins, Barrel Dragon will destroy it. And the continuous trap Proton Blast will chain its effect, further hindering you. Honestly, your chances are almost zero, so there's no point in resisting. He put his hands on his hips, smugly. But it's not your fault, I'm just too strong. Kira, expressionless, you lost to a normie. Normie, Kaiba's nickname for Joey Wheeler, became widely used as Joey became famous. Keith twitched, angry, I'm America's top card professor. The undefeated dueling expert across the Americas. Kira calmly repeated, you lost to a normie. I just had bad luck back then. Keith gritted his teeth. Now I've returned from hell, and one day I'll get my victory back. Kira, you lost to Pegasus's elementary school hire. Keith. Maybe let's just stick with the normie thing. Keith's face darkened. I know what kind of person you are. You're just like them. You must think I'm a despicable duelist, spouting all that nonsense about duelist's pride. He clenched his fists, veins bulging on his forehead. That's just pretty talk for winners. Yugi and Wheeler, they don't understand. They don't know what it's like to fall from the top, to be humiliated and mocked, to have your self-respect trampled into the dust. You think I want to be like this? Not everyone can be Yugi. His green glowing eyes were bloodshot. Not everyone can charge ahead like that. I tried, I worked hard, but nothing changed. Isn't that how it is for most people? There's only one winner in a duel. The rest are just stepping stones. It's easy to talk big from the top, but the rest of us don't have that many choices. He looked darkly at Kira. You must be another prodigy, right? You haven't experienced what I have. When you do, you'll understand, all that talk about pride and bonds with your cards is just childish nonsense. Power and victory are everything. To win, anything goes: cheating, scheming, even selling your soul to demons. As long as you win, nothing else matters. Kira. What? Keith shouted. Why are you looking at me like that? No, Kira replied calmly. You're right, without Oric Halos, you'd still be stronger than most duelists. And you're right that only one person can stand at the top. But there's one thing you're wrong about. Yugi and Wheeler, before they were winners, they were duelists. Dueling isn't just a tool to win. A true duelist always believes in their deck, it's not about the strong enslaving the weak. If you don't understand that, you don't deserve to be called a duelist. The silent magician, now a spirit, listened quietly. Her gaze at her master grew more and more moved. If there were a progress bar for affection, it would be rising steadily. Kira was intentionally brushing up his coolness and the spirit's affection, but these words were also his genuine feelings since arriving in this world. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, winning is important, but if you do anything just to win, you'll only drift further from the throne. Keith is the perfect example. He was once a top duelist in America but always had a gambler's mindset, hiding cards up his sleeve, stealing entry tickets, using every trick. In this supernatural world, a lack of respect for dueling won't get you far. Kira was just trying to seize the moment and boost his style and spirit affection, maybe even his destiny power. But unexpectedly, just as the story reached its climax, the carved statue atop the mountain outside the arena suddenly glowed. The sealed statue erupted in blinding light, forcing everyone to shut their eyes. A powerful magical force was released, forming a storm that engulfed the entire area. When the light faded, both duelists saw that the image on the mountain rock had vanished. Keith's pupil shrank, he sensed something was wrong. Could it be? Kira looked down in surprise. His top card was glowing. What the heck? Did my speech not only touch my silent magician but also resonate with the spirit sealed here? The atmosphere reminded him of Kaiba's famous floor draw scene. He took a deep breath and placed his fingers on the deck. Draw of Destiny. The golden card arced through the air, and as it left the deck, a whirlwind of energy burst forth, spiraling upward. Keith panicked. That aura, that power, that card, is it? Sure enough, Kira looked at the card. It was the legendary, once-banned warrior. Black Luster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. Of course, he knew for sure he didn't have this card in his deck. But since he'd been Ice Guy, drawing a card you didn't have was just another classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Experience. This wasn't cheating, this was resonance with the spirits, a mark of a true duelist. As he added the card to his hand, he seemed to see the imposing spirit of a warrior appear, saluting him with both swords. It was as if to say, "My sword is with you." Kira nodded in response to the warrior spirit. "Bandit Keith!" he shouted, "prepare to witness the might of my deck's strongest ace." "TCH, so it's the legendary warrior, hey? Bring it on!" Keith shouted back. "Then let me show you." Kira raised the card, unleashing an overwhelming aura. "I'll now unleash the power of this card." Keith held his breath, focusing all his energy, waiting for the legendary warrior's spirit to appear. The Black Luster Soldier spirit gripped his sword, ready to descend and win victory for his new master. And then Kira continued, "I tribute your Desperado Barrel Dragon and Fiendish Engine Omega to special summon a powerful monster to your field. From the abyssal lava, awakened with the power of destruction and rebirth. Level 8, Lava Golem." "Keith. Black Luster Soldier. What did you just summon?" Keith's eyes widened as his two ace machines were swallowed by a surge of molten lava, instantly melting. From the red-hot magma, a burning hand slammed down onto the field, and a towering giant rose on Keith's side, a scalding cage locking Keith in. "Lava Golem, Def 2500. Lava Golem's effect, Kira said calmly. You can special summon it to your opponent's field by tributing 2 of their monsters. But the turn you use this effect, you can't normal summon. He grinned at Keith. It's a monster with attack power matching Blue Eyes White Dragon. I just gave you an 8-star boss monster. Keith's jaw almost hit the floor. Matching Blue Eyes, my ass, who even wants this ugly freak? My Desperado Barrel Dragon, my fiendish engine Omega. Keith was in shambles. No, wasn't the setup, the draw, and the atmosphere all building toward summoning the legendary Black Luster Soldier for an epic Ace vs Ace showdown? Why break the script with Lava Golem? Where's your ace? Where's your soul? Is your soul just this thing? The Black Luster Soldier spirit, ready to leap forth, froze in confusion. Not summoning me? Wait. He suddenly realized. At this point, Keith had 0 cards in hand, and no resources left, and every card in his graveyard was revealed. Lava Golem not only eats any 2 monsters but also has another effect. During each of its controller's standby phases, it inflicts 1000 damage to them. Keith, LP 500. In other words, Kira didn't need Black Luster Soldier, this duel was already won. His grand entrance was unnecessary. Should I just leave? Kira smiled, activating the effect of Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning from my hand. By banishing 1 light and 1 dark monster from my graveyard, I special summon it. I banish Silent Magician, light, and Jinzo, dark, from my graveyard. Even though victory was assured, this legendary spirit deserved a debut. With Keith's hand and field empty, and all graveyard cards revealed, Kira could win in any fashion. Or, if he waited for Lava Golem to burn Keith next turn, Keith would get one last draw, however slim, there was still a theoretical chance to survive. But if he finished it now, even that tiny chance was gone. Silent Magician and Jinzo's spirits appeared, flying into the swirling chaos. 1 soul guides the light, 1 soul guides the dark, the gate of chaos opens. Kira raised his arm. Heaven and earth unfold. Level 8. Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, summon. In a mighty vortex of light and darkness, a heroic warrior in armor appeared, sword gleaming as he cleaved through the chaos, so powerful that even the green barrier trembled. Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, ATK 3000. Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, attack Lava Golem. The black soldier leaped forward, a sword of creation cleaving Lava Golem in 2, its body collapsing and melting. Envoy's effect. When this card destroys a monster by battle, it can attack again. Kira gave the order. Final blow. Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, direct attack Bandit Keith. Dimensional / double break. The warrior sword, spinning in midair, golden light swirling around his blade, releasing a strike that transcended time and space. As the sword energy approached, Keith screamed in despair. In his final moment, his mind was filled with resentment, anger, and regret, all coalescing into a single thought. Damn you, Lava Golem! Bandit Keith, LP 500 LP 0. PS, Lava Golem. Justice to Lava Golem. XD.
Thanks for listening.